weeks, let me take care of it, babe. Close your eyes, I'll sing your favorite song. I wrote you this lullaby. Hush now, baby, don't you cry. Anything you want could not be wrong. So baby, tell me yes, and I will give you everything. So baby, tell me yes, and I will be all yours tonight. So baby, tell me yes, and I will give you everything. I will be right by your side. If I can't find the cure, I'll fix you with my love. No matter what, you know I'll fix you with my love. And if you say you're okay, I'm gonna heal you anyway. Promise I'll always be there. Promise I'll be the cure. I'll fix you with my love. I'll fix you with my love. If I can't find the cure, I'll fix you with my love. No matter what, you know I'll fix you with my love. And if you say you're okay, I'm gonna heal you anyway. Promise I'll always be there. Promise I'll be the cure. Promise I'll be I'll fix you with my love. There's a monster in my room. Can't get away from you. No matter what I say, no matter what I do, there's a monster in my room. Now my friends say you're doing fine. Everybody hurts sometime. And other voices inside my mind would rather keep me in my head, but not tonight. 'Cause we're alright, we're gonna make it through the night, yeah. Alright, take us on up to the atmosphere, yeah. Alright, if we lose our minds, we'll be ever clear, yeah. Say yeah, yeah, we'll be alright. We'll be alright. There's a monster in my bed. Can't get you out my head. No matter where I go, the feeling can't be shed. There's a monster in my bed. Now my friends say you're doing fine. Everybody hurts sometimes. But we're alright, we're gonna make it through the night, yeah. Alright, take us on up to the atmosphere, yeah. Alright, if we lose our minds, we'll be ever clear, yeah. Say yeah, yeah, we'll be alright. When I hear it, I'm missing you with me. But it's gonna be all.
Done by bad guys and broken hearts, angels, demons, and battle scars. We battle glamours and rubber glass. We are born to a world that's falling apart. We are born to a world that's falling apart. Give me hope. We're knocking on heaven's door, but I'm afraid there's no one home. Know what you're fighting for, 'cause tonight you're fighting alone against all. Fighting alone against all. Give me hope. The youth is wasted on the young. Live out like loaded guns. Forgive me for what I have done, but I am what I have overcome. I am what I have overcome. I am what I am. We're knocking on heaven's door, but I'm afraid there's no one home. Know what you're fighting for, 'cause tonight you're fighting alone against all. Fighting alone against all. Nobody knows how to live or die. This world is cold, but we burn inside. Know what you're fighting for, 'cause
안녕하세요. ASL 시즌 3 스타걸.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another day here at the ASL. Artosis, we're back.
That's right, Tosis.
It's been a lonely 24 hours without you.
Well, it's definitely been less than that because we finished at like 10:30, so maybe 22 hours or so.
22 hours, fair enough.
Yeah.
But it felt like 48 already.
Oh man, I know what you mean.
We're bringing our players out here for interviews. Artosis, take it away.
All right, first I am Mong.
경기 준비를
Did win the team league, of course. Anyways, how did you prepare for today's matches?
더 열심히 준비했어요.
So I couldn't prepare that
어떤
much
이유로 많이 못하셨나요?
since I don't have enough time.
방송하는 크루에
But I focused better when practicing
저희
than last
집에
season.
참기름을 뿌려가지고 참기름 냄새가 연습할 때 계속 올라와가지고
How come you didn't practice much?
집중을 잘 못했거든요.
네.
그래서 남은 기간 동안은 열심히
He
준비했어요.
said, well,
우리 어쩐지 좀 눈도
my friends came to my house and spilled sesame oil all over my house. And it smelled bad, so it was hard to practice.
Wow.
That is the craziest excuse I've ever heard.
저만 잘하면
The
올라갈
dog ate my
Says,
esports.
I feel good today, I slept a lot.
If
I play as I want, then I'll make it the next round. What? Yeah, if I play better than anyone's ever played, I'll definitely
Next
make
guy
it, which
comes
is how
up there with a
I wanna
bottle of
play.
sesame seed oil.
그냥 요즘에 게임을 많이 못해서
What about the support you're receiving from your
별 기대 안
fans?
한다고 그냥 열심히만 하고 오라는 식으로 많이 말씀해 주셨는데
My fans were too honest.
대회에서는 또 집중해서 올라가는
They say, well,
할
I know you haven't
때는
practiced too much, so I'm not really expecting that much.
네, 사뭇 다른 김승현 선수의 정말 진지한 모습인데 오늘 또 공교롭게
He wants to surprise them, though, and make it to that next round.
2조의 최연소자예요.
저도
네.
이제 내년이면 30이거든요.
Well, we have a very old pro gamer in this group.
우리
In fact, that makes you
최연소자로서
young.
각오한
He's
말씀
so
해주시죠
old.
마지막으로.
그래도 제일 아직 젊으니까.
Said, yeah, I'll be 30 soon, but I didn't expect to be the youngest
네,
in this group.
감사합니다. 오늘 좋은 성적 기대하겠습니다. 다음은
And since I'm the youngest, I guess I can make it the next round.
보는 반가운 얼굴인데요.
Age before beauty, Artosis.
김경호 선수 안녕하세요.
We have a very new
정말
face here.
반갑습니다.
This
ASL에서
game
이렇게
out.
오프라인 경기를 다시 치르게 돼서 감회가 정말 새로울 것 같아요.
It's been a long time since you've really played anywhere big. What does it mean to you?
또 이제 한때 군제동이라는 별명이
Yeah, I'm
생길 정도로
quite
활약을
nervous
잘해주셨는데
to have some offline matches. It's been a bit.
개인 방송에서 그렇게 좋은 성적을 보여주지 못하고 있다고 해요. 네.
시작한 지 얼마 안 돼가지고
In the past, you were a great Zerg along with Jadong? What?
모습 보여드리고 열심히 하고 있습니다.
I don't think I would list him beside Jadong, Taste, to be honest. But on your stream,
준비 열심히 했습니다.
you have not been showing that great of a performance, losing quite a few matches. You feel like you can pull off the old school game-o. Said, yeah, since I practice a lot, I'll do my best.
네, 오늘 경기 각오 한번 들어보죠.
4명 중에 제가 연습은 제일 많이 했다고 생각하니까
I heard that other than washing and eating, all you've done is practice.
네, 본인 그냥 오늘 연습한
He
것만
says,
이때까지
well,
연습했던 대로
I
했던
think I
대로만
practice the
하면은
most out of everyone here, and I'm very confident because of
네,
that.
오늘 그럼 좋은 성적 기대하겠습니다.
So
감사합니다.
if I put up my best performance, I definitely think I can make it to the next round.
계속해서 와, 또 오프라인에서 정말 오랜만에
I can't wait to talk about these interviews afterwards.
기다렸을 법한 선수예요. 바로 박지호 선수
Another newcomer to the ASL, but the
안녕하세요.
least newcomer. Guys,
와,
bow
열기가
down.
정말
It's
대단해요.
Busan.
응원하시는
He's
분들
back.
많은 것
This is
같아요.
crazy.
기분이 어떠세요?
She says, wow, I can hear fans shouting about you. How do you feel now?
오랜만에 이제
네.
경기 무대에 나가니까
Says, I'm really happy.
네, 박지호 선수가 어떻게
Very
보면
nervous as
아저씨로
well.
돌아왔는데 정말 표정 하나는 천진난만이에요. 기분이 많이 좋으신가 봐요. 컨디션 어떠신가요?
You came back as a married and old pro gamer.
긴장 많이 되는데
I can see you're very happy by the look in your face.
그리고 오늘 또 험하게 2패로 돌아가면 또 역시나 사람들이 또 질타하기 뻔하기 때문에
그렇죠.
오늘 꼭 2승으로 올라가겠습니다.
2승으로 정말 대단한 각오인데 또 우리 박지호
Says,
선수가
I really hope not to lose 2
아재리그에서
matches in a row. It'd be a big
들었어요.
disappointment to my fans.
네.
거기는 별로 내용이 없어서
And so
차가 넘치지 않습니다.
I'll
네,
do my
오늘은
best to make it out
내용이
first in the
정말
group.
많거든요. 어떻게 이길 수 있을까요?
제가 2승한다 했잖아요.
네.
2승으로
Do you think you can win tonight?
반드시 2승으로 올라가겠다. 정말 대단한
I just said I'm going to win twice in a row and make it out in first place.
Busan.
So sick, man.
So cool he's back.
시청자 여러분께 각오 한 말씀 부탁드립니다.
오늘
A lot of fans want to see your ridiculous macro Protoss that you're known for.
네, 박주호 선수 정말 좋은 성적
Goes, yeah, I'll do my
기대하겠습니다.
best.
감사합니다.
For 2 wins in a row and make it out in first place. Okay, broken record Busan, jeez.
안녕하세요.
I get it. And then, of course, Stork.
Stork.
One of the greatest players of all time.
역시 송병구 선수의 인기를 실감할 수 있는 열기인데요. 최근에 이제 또 꾸준한 노력에도
Stork, you have a lot of
불구하고
fans.
지는 모습을 패배하는 모습을 많이 보여주고 있어요. 하지만 오늘은 송병구 선수가
You know,
정말
you put in a lot
강한
of effort.
무대잖아요. 오프라인 무대잖아요. 자신 있으시죠?
잘
You've
모르겠어요.
lost a lot of
네?
games on the ladder.
제가 오프라인에
네.
강하다는 생각 별로 안 하고 그냥 복귀한 지 얼마 안
You have
돼서 그냥
confidence here?
연습 때도 좋은 모습을 못
To win
보여주는
offline matches?
네.
그냥 원래 연습 때 잘했는데 개인 방송에
Because I don't really
왜
have
그런
much
헛소문이
confidence.
났는지 모르겠어요. 저 현역 때 진짜 연습 때 안 졌거든요. 좀
네.
헛소문이라는 거를
네.
이제
I won a lot of games online.
네, 오늘 반드시 보여줘야 할
But
것
when I
같은데
turn on my streaming channel, somehow I just keep losing.
모습을 방금 보여주셨어요. 근데 오늘
cheaters, they watch stream snipers. Flashes stream sniping you, Stork.
아니요, 딱히 없고 예선을 뚫는데 제가 엄청 힘들었거든요. 그 예선을 다 뚫고
I've heard
올라온
from players that you have
선수들이기
huge
때문에
confidence.
진짜 방심하지 않고 다들 대단한 선수라고 생각하고 준비해왔고
No, not really.
연습 때처럼 마음 편하게 하려고 왔어요.
아주 겸손한 송병구 선수의 말씀이었는데요. 끝으로 이제
But,
송병구
you know,
선수를
since
응원하는
everyone went through hard
팬분들께
qualification brackets,
말씀하시죠.
you know, I have to show
연습하는데 제가
respect for
몸도
that.
안 좋았는데 많이 응원해 주셔서 너무 감사하고
Any words to your
오늘
fans
좋은
before the matches?
결과로 보답해드릴 수 있도록 열심히 하고 가겠습니다.
네.
감사합니다.
송병구
Recently
선수
I've been
좋은
pretty sick.
성적 기대하겠습니다.
네, 감사합니다.
감사합니다.
But
이렇게
since
오늘
everyone
경기에
supported me so
출전한
much, I
네
think I
선수를
was
차례로
able to focus on my
만나봤습니다.
practice, and
오늘도 시청자
I think I'll be able to play some good games
여러분들의
tonight.
부탁드리면서
Okay, tasteless. First, I want to talk about this crazy excuse that his friends came to his house and spilt sesame oil too much, and it was
I
too
don't know
smelly
what
to
the deal-
practice.
I wonder if that was caught on stream or something like that. I don't think
It
we really
has
got
to
the
have
full
been.
story there, but
But like,
let's hope nobody brought their sesame seed oil here tonight, Artosis.
no, that's what a wild. Like I've heard some excuses in my day, tasteless, and that one might take the cake.
Yeah, that was
Too much sesame oil, guys.
could not be predicted there.
How did your friends spill it all over your house? When you start to spill it, you probably grab it and stop spilling it at that point.
That's when they
How does
grab
it get
the bottle.
all over?
You go, what are you doing? He goes, sesame seed oil fight, and they just start spraying it everywhere.
Wow, I'd love to be a fly
That's
on
the
the wall
only
for that.
explanation I can come up with.
Yeah.
So we're back here at another day of the ASL. It's really cool to see Busan is back. He is
Okay, this is
very old school.
basically the coolest thing. So, guys, you watching at home, most people probably don't really even know who he is. Let me talk about this man for a moment.
Please.
Think to yourself about the year that you were born. Okay? And now think of a pink elephant. Oh, magic trick.
I'm inside your brain.
Whoa! Oh, see what I did to you? Okay, so think about the year that you were born. Busan was born in 1985. Think about how old you were and what you were doing in 2003. That's when Busan became a pro gamer.
That's right.
Now, I have so much respect for so many pro gamers. Busan is actually one of the most respected from the old days ever. He was like the original super macro Protoss.
Yeah.
And like, here's the thing too: as you go back further and further years, it's so much harder for the pros to remain relevant because they're just like older, they've been away longer.
The game
whole
gets
skill
so
set,
figured out.
Yeah, the
So-
whole skill set of every pro gets to be so high up that it's just like very hard for these players to hang on. And like, you get exponentially less pro players that still matter back then. Like, look, every now and then we get like a box or yellow show match. Here's the thing: those are fun guys, but they suck when they play.
Well, it's like if we have Yellow, Boxer, and Grimto come back, it's like, oh, these
Yeah.
guys are all great players, but it's not the same as having like Flash or
No,
Jaedong or
completely different universes of skill.
They were like the first circle that we drew. Before we drew another bigger circle around that,
Yes,
we
that's a
keep
good way to
drawing.
put
It's like
it.
that Emerson essay where it's like we just keep drawing a bigger circle
Yeah.
as we're learning off of our past, from our elders. Basically, we stand on the shoulders of giants, and those guys from long ago are obviously very important. But rarely do you see one that's still here today. And tonight we have Busan.
Yeah.
It should also be mentioned, Stork is probably the player people are most
Yes.
excited about out of everybody here. Stork, easily one of the top 4 players of all time in Brood War.
It is certainly a fact, but just to have Busan in here, I feel like deserves all this extra attention just because you do not get pro gamers this old. It is so rare, especially in a game like this. Like, sure, at the beginning of Wings of Liberty, Nesty dominated, and he was basically the oldest ever to win tournaments. But that was like a brand new game. He was a brilliant player, figured out the strategies, figured out how to play. This game is so damn figured out. And to have someone that was a pro gamer as far back as 2003 qualifying here into the top 24, this is madness. And it is such a special moment for such a legendary macro Protoss.
It's so exciting. I am Mong, by the way, somebody who definitely could get out of this group here today. We should be having a lot of PvPs here. Our one Zerg player only had one matchup to practice for. We'll see how much he rotates between really aggro play and macro play, because all three of these Protosses play very differently. So I don't know if this is going to be a day where it's really easy to just prepare against the race that you're going to be going against. I feel like for instance, Stork and Busan, I don't think they're going to have similar PvZs at all.
No.
Mong is currently a very modern Protoss player, somebody that you can definitely follow and glean a lot from in the current Brood War meta. So we got 3 powerhouse Protosses and Dark Horse Zerg.
Yeah.
Anything can happen.
Let's not forget what the final map of the night is. It's Outsider.
Yeah, well,
so Gaimo should be feeling like he can get out, right?
Yeah, he has to beat one of these Protosses in order to get that far. But yeah, you're completely right. That map. Then again, I really want to see Stork play on that map. I want to see what does he do. He's got the best build orders in the game.
Yeah.
Like how does he approach a map like that? Because we need to steal some builds, guys. Those of us watching for a map like that.
That would certainly be very cool.
So we are starting off tonight with a Protoss versus Zerg. This is a best of 1 in the group phase. So the winner goes to the winner's match, the loser to the loser. You basically have to win 2 best of 1s to advance. And you're only allowed to lose 1.
That's
best
right.
Of 1.
That's right. And of course, no one wants to go out in that last place spot. Always a huge disappointment. It's hard to say who will. Like, you look at the group, and I think you have to guess that it's going to be Busan, just because it's like, how is this guy even here? How is this guy even qualified being this old? And but who knows, man? We'll see if I Am Mong, though, can take down Gaimo, because I Am Mong has been playing so well. He really has. Like, he has really shot up his skill level. You know, the very first match we saw him in ASL, I was like, nope. But since then, he has been on fire. They even won the ASL team battle. His team did over Team Flash, which was just crazy.
That was an upset. We have both of our players, or no, we only have Mong in the lobby. We're still waiting for our Zerg to join in. Map number 1 is going to be Camelot. We'll be talking a little bit more about how this map operates in this matchup once we see what the initial build orders are going to be from each of these guys.
It's going to be very fun, man. I'm just still so pumped over Busan, because it's like, how well is he going to play tonight? And here's the thing. He'll be really good. And when I say Slayer's Boxer versus Yellow suck, it's not that they suck. It's like you compare them to Jaedong versus Flash, and it's different stratospheres.
It's almost a bit hyperbolic, because at the time they were the greatest. But we've gotten so far and become so advanced in our understanding of StarCraft that it's like not...
Everyone stands on their shoulders. Yeah. And it's quite a weight that digs you into the ground when you played that long ago. And I don't know. Having Busan here is not the same as having one of them. You like that one?
Yes, that was a beautiful metaphor. They stand on their shoulders and therefore it pushes them into the ground. All right, guys, we're going into game number 1. A PvZ to start things off in tonight's ASL.
I knew you'd like that one.
I love it because you start off with we stand on the shoulders of giants, which is so true. But then you're like, because we're standing on the shoulders, it like pushes them down, so like they can't
into the ground, man. Makes it harder to be good.
Makes it harder to be good. So, you've just mutated that metaphor in such a funny way. At the bottom right, we have Mong.
That's what you got to do.
Yeah, and in the upper left, Gaimo.
But yeah, I mean, this is the way that you make metaphors work overtime.
I almost called him Gumiho, and I'm like, no.
Gumiho. Oh my god. By the way, that was really funny when she compared him to Jaedong. I don't even understand what that was all about. It's like Tasteless. You and Bisu are basically like the same caliber.
I know.
It's like,
and then Bisu would come and chime in and be like, no, Tasteless is such a king among men.
Yeah.
Okay, so on this map, it's a one-on-one map. It appears that Protoss is going to do what is most common in the meta, and it's been pretty common for a while, but the fast expand build, which is harder than it looks because you have to have the perfect structure placement. Even if you do have it, you can still get busted by the Zerg.
What style will Gaimo use? Because he does have only ZVPs tonight, right?
Yeah.
He could get out in first place, but you would kind of expect that if he gets out, it might be in second, right? Especially with Outsider being that map, so... He might have to alter his play a lot, like you were saying. Like,
well,
does he want to go
It is
aggro
best
or?
of ones, so it's like I don't know how much you. I mean, you could cheese once, do 2 macro games, or it depends. We also see that there's a gateway coming down here, so he's going to be going for the pressure build and trying to get a rush in there early on. Zerg's going for a quicker pool, which is also quite common.
Probe coming up, going to scout this all out. A lot of ZVP ahead tonight, and PvP perhaps as well. I mean, no Terrans tonight, tasteless. A little bit sad, but at least Terrans are advancing in that round of 16.
I think tonight might have some of the best PvPs in the ASL, just with these 3 really different Protosses playing against each other.
Yeah, they're sure to be very, very cool. Like, Stork would be the one that you think obviously is much stronger than the others, but I don't know. I mean, withholding my judgment, we already saw Shine, an old school pro gamer with a wife and kids, qualifying to the next round, so if he can do it, maybe Poussin can as well.
Certainly. We saw the Pro, by the way, block the hatchery for a little bit over there. The build that the Protoss is doing is one where you keep producing Zealots and rush the Zerg. And you want to force the Zerg to make Zerglings, and ideally you want to try to pick off some drones. You can abuse the fact that the Zealot can get behind the mineral patches and fight the Lings in kind of a hallway, if you will. And then Protoss tries to expand behind that. But if Protoss messes up while doing this build, the Zerg just counters and kills him. So you have to be very careful. This is a build that, like, you can look really fancy and win a game, or you can just suddenly die because you were not micromanaging your Zealot enough.
It is quite true. The probe coming up will help these Zealots to 2-shot with a single probe hit on the Zerglings. Third base is being taken here pretty quickly by Gamo. So definitely something we haven't seen as much in ZVP in the ASL season so far, taking such a quick third against Protoss.
So he's continuing to pump out those Zealots. It looks like the Zerg has matched him with Lings, and this is going to force our Protoss player to head back home. I believe he just now started the Forge. Yep, there it is. And he'll have to get cannons behind this, also taking his gas and tech up. And then we'll see what kind of game the Protoss wants to play. The Zerg is basically trying to make as few Lings as possible without ever dying to Zealots, and droning up and then picking a proper tech path after scouting out the Protoss.
And that is, of course, always the beauty of RTS games, the skimping by with as little as possible while being as greedy as possible. And I think he's doing a very good job this time, especially kind of realizing that, okay, it's a one-gate Zealot rush. Going to take this very fast third. You know, it's going to take a while for there to be enough Zealots to actually come out again, especially when he sees this many Zerglings.
So, I will say that the cannon seemed to, like, it was a little bit late, but it looks like the Zerg never really pushed out that far. So you got to be careful because sometimes they can get Lings and start to chip away, at the outside of your base, and then you can fish the Zealots out and surround them and kill them. But these Lings don't have speed yet, so I think Protoss should basically be fine.
Yeah, they should have speed pretty quickly here. He was mining some gas and stopped, so that generally shows you that speed will be on the way. Macro hatch coming up here as well, and it looks like a very macro-heavy game coming out of Gamo. We don't even have a Hydralisk Den quite yet, though.
Yeah, we're still... Okay, there we go. Stargate now coming up here. So he's going to be making Corsairs out of this. How many? We'll have to see. Sometimes Protosses tend to get a lot. We have seen some games where they just get one and scout around, but I think in this game we should see a good amount of Corsairs. And this forces Zerg to respect the Protoss's air. If you don't have enough defense, the Protoss goes and kills all your overlords. Your supply blocked. Eventually, Protoss pushes out. But it forces Zerg to make Hydras, sometimes to make Scourge, and they have to spend their gas defending against this. And on the ground, the Protoss is producing a lot of Zealots. They're going to have +1 attack and Zealot legs. And Scourge and Hydras are not great against Zealots with legs. Hydras are okay if you have a ton of them and you can control them well. But generally speaking, the Hydra can have a Zealot can have a very good fight against Hydras.
Yeah, like if you just see them run into each other, the Zealots are going to do just fine. But of course, you hit these critical masses and stuff where you have a giant amount. The surface area gets a little bit harder, and of course, there's other tech routes that come into play. Eventually, you'll see some lurkers and whatnot. But as of this moment, Gamo going into 5 hatches as well as that Hydralisk Den. Definitely going to have a lot of macro going on.
So this first Corsair, it's not just to kill the Overlords, it's also to scout. You want to try to see if there's a spire making, for instance, how many hatches, how many drones there are. Anything that you can see for Zerg is going to be helpful for the Protoss. I don't believe we have a layer coming up here just yet. And honestly, okay, never mind. Hydras are coming out. I was going to say he needs to make sure he has defense for these Overlords. If you start to lose one or two, things can actually start to snowball. The Hydras can't come out in time.
Another one flying in right now to scout exactly what's going on. Looks like +1 as well as legs going to be on the way here for IamMong.
Yeah, +1 air.
Yeah.
To be clear as well. He's going to get +1 attack too, but having the +1 air, since the Corsairs do splash damage, and the way the rally points are set up, a lot of times the Overlords will just bunch up. You can get some really good shots off. By the way, Mong actually got a second cannon here.
Yeah.
That's something we have seen some of the other Protoss players not do. Obviously, you kind of like the Zerg wants to make as many drones as possible and as few lings early on as possible to defend. The Protoss wants to make as few cannons as possible, but sometimes it can backfire on them.
Yeah, a little bit of safety coming out of IamMong. Maybe afraid that Gamo would pull the trigger and do some sort of crazy rush, but his probe was alive for a long time. He kind of saw that it was a macro-ish build, right? So
yeah,
interesting that he threw down the 2.
We have some more of these Zealots coming up now. Zealot legs should be finishing up soon. And there's going to be a lot more gateways coming up here as Protoss has basically finished out the majority of his tech. He's going to have Templars soon. He's getting Psystorm. Now, the way that the Zerg has structured his building setup, it's a lot like the Protoss wall-in that we saw early on. You want to make it so that the Zealots can't just barrel in there. The Hydras can clog the little holes here. And this forces his Protoss generally to just go back home.
Yeah, that's some really good SimCity out of Gamo, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's really nice. It's going to be hard for him to get those Zealots through the holes, especially if the Zerglings back up like this. Very nicely done. Keeping those Zealots kind of single file. Look at that. They really glitched down. He has to run away.
I think that Hydra did in that hatchery, the hatchery to the left, I think that's a pure block. I don't think the Hydra...
Lings can definitely get through. I think a Zealot can fit through there.
I think the Zealot actually got stuck. I'm not sure. We have to test that out later. All the different structures, when you put them next to each other, make for different areas of blocking. And so you have to map it out perfectly. But a good Zerg will always have a good wall-in set up there so that he can't be abused by Zealots. Because this is pretty common for Protosses nowadays, is to make a lot of Zealots and try to come out and surround a base and maybe take out a hatchery or kill some drones.
Yeah, Zealots intercepting some of these Zerglings. There's a DT on the map now as well. He hasn't really picked off that many Overlords, so not sure where the DT is going to be able to get in for damage.
He might try to run in with a few Zealots and then have the DT run into the main.
Yeah, could be.
This is fairly predictable, though, from Protoss players. Sometimes you'll still get the Zerg anyways. It can be worth a shot. Other times, in fact, he has both the DTs over here, so he might try to run 2 of them in.
Oh, you know what? Maybe it's just because Overlords are slow. He could zone the Hydras from helping out at third or something like that.
I think you may be right. We see the Corsairs coming up over here, taking some pot shots on that Overlord. The Hydras do drive them back. It's very important that you keep those alive for as long as possible. These Zealots are going to spill in here. And again, the Wallen is just too good. There's no way the Zealots can get around there. I got to say, Mong's doing a very good job. He's just coming in here and poking the Zerg. Zerg looks like he's kind of defending perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been fantastic defense coming out of Gamo. And his macro is going to be pretty off the hook coming up here. So I'm a little bit afraid for Mong still, but there hasn't been any true pressure on him. It's just normally you'll see Protoss do a little bit more damage, right? They'll get a few more Overlords, maybe they'll get a couple drones. So far, really, Gamo's been able to play his own game.
How many hatches is Gamo on?
5.
He's on 5 hatches.
Yeah.
There are some busts that Zergs will do where they'll try to run in here and just dodge your storms and run you over.
Yeah.
And that may be what we're having here. We see lurkers are being made back there as well, over at the third base. When the Protoss do this Zealot Corsair pressure build, the Robo's quite late. So we see Observer's really just now going to be part of this. I don't believe he's going to do a lurker contain.
Yeah, it looks like it's just going to be straight up an attack. Maybe some defensive
Where are the
lurkers
Overlords,
there at home.
He never brought those Overlords.
He has Overlord speed.
Yeah, but he moved a big bunch of them.
Yeah.
And then I think actually Gamo made a mistake because there's no way he, after seeing DTs were there, would be okay just moving his Hydras across the map. I don't think he's going to suffer too many losses, but that seems to be just a mistake.
Well, I think at this point we have enough units for IamMong and should be enough Storm. Wow, look at that. A lot of Dragoons being added in as well for some anti-lurker tech. But it's going to be a little bit harder for him to attack. Definitely going to have to bring up lurkers at this point. There's so many Zealots, a lot of Psystorm as well. A couple Overlords coming over to the side now.
This could be a good moment for the Zerg to strike, to try to isolate the Protoss from the third base that he wants to take in the lower center here. Now there's enough Templars out here, and he has enough Dragoons. He can combat the Hydras and the Lurkers. The Dragoons are very much a counter to Lurkers. Problem is they don't really counter anything else but the Lurkers. So if you overmake Dragoons ever in your big army, you're probably not going to be in great shape.
If you ever have only Dragoons, run away, because Zerg will make something and then kill them.
Or pray that you're playing against a Terran.
Yeah.
One of these two things. So
a Terran without siege tanks.
That's right, yes. A Terran in the first, 6 minutes of the game.
Or Protoss player. There you go. That's where it's at.
Yeah.
Okay, another hatchery coming up. So going up to 6 hatcheries is Gameo. Does he get dropped?
This is really smart. He's just going to drop.
Yeah.
Zerg's been forced onto 2 bases because Protoss is powering so hard. But the thing is, Zerg's also so turtled up, whereas the Protoss is very vulnerable to drops. And dropping this over here, he can actually kill all the workers. And Zerg basically has to hold this. Now, I don't see anything up there for the Zerg's 3rd base.
Yeah,
but this may still... Go ahead.
I was going to say the 3rd is 100% going to die, but he is going to lose his bases. Like, he should lose this Nexus 100%. He's lost so many probes. And if Gameo just, does a big lurker turtle at his natural with, Sunkens and a Spore and stuff, it's going to be super hard for Mong to win this game.
I have no idea where the probes could have even been sent. I don't believe we saw any was sent out to that other mineral patch, which means that the Protoss basically lost all of his workers, now lost the Nexus. Now, it's the Protoss with the bigger army, but it's the Zerg with the better economy. He did leave a small army up here, but it looks like this was actually too small.
Oh, yeah.
I think he should have at least targeted down the hatch and the Hydra. I don't know, man.
Yeah, he's just barely not going to clear that hatchery, and he lost a chunk of units for it, so that's literally the worst thing that could have happened.
Yeah. This is Zerg's game to lose at this point in time. All that Zerg has to do is keep remaking his army, and in fact, he's going to try to go for a contain here, as he knows that Protoss is going to lose a lot of units trying to bust out of a contain. Now, Storms are quite good here. In fact, he's not splitting his Lurkers very well.
No, those Storms are just awesome. And the fact that he's even up here attacking is actually a little bit surprising. I feel like he should be at home after dealing that much damage to the economy here of his opponent.
The only problem is that there were so many workers killed that I think he can basically make out of 1 to 2 gateways while he's still making probes, so it doesn't matter. Mong just Mong loses it. Game a great job there by him.
Yeah, he played a very nice game. I love the drop that he did. He did it at a perfect time when Mong was actually en route to his base, which is the best time. You basically started the base trade before them, then Mong made the mistake of leaving just a few units and running home.
Hey, here's one of the mistakes that happened there. Zerg didn't have a 4th base, so there was nothing to warrant the Protoss moving out. Zerg, they become limited in their tools if you're just staying on 3 base versus 2 base, because Protoss can power up really hard and then take a last-second expansion.
Yeah.
But drops is one of the few things that they can end up getting later on. It's not the most common thing, but they can actually then drop you, and the Protoss has to go all the way back, and there's nowhere for workers to hide. That's it.
By the way, you pointed out last time that we were casting a PBZ here, where the Corsairs were sitting at this point in the game for another Protoss.
Oh, right.
Where they actually sit waiting for that specific drop, and that's something that we didn't see from Mong. I'm not sure. I think they were floating over near where the 4th base might have been for his opponent.
He kept poking at those overlords in between the natural and the main, and it just wasn't. It wasn't worth it. So a mistake there by Mong. He's going down to the losers match. Our Zerg goes up to the winners.
Yes, so that's good for Gameo. I mean, that's going to be fun to see if he can take out Stork or Pusan, who are going to play next Tasteless.
Yeah.
A couple real old-school Protosses.
I know. I cannot wait for that. Pusan, super old-school. Stork, a legend throughout the entire Brood War era. And we are going to go to a short break then, and after that, go on to this PvP here at the ASL.
지금까지 방구하러 가서 나쁘다는 말 들어본 적 있어?
모두가 쉬쉬해온 방에 대한 나쁜 정보.
다방면으로 보자. 다방. 이게 도대체 뭐야? 대박! 소름!
사전 등록하면은 소미 캐릭터 준대요.
그래서 우리는 인공지능 어플로 한 가지 실험을 해봤습니다.
면접 때 어떤 옷을 입는 게 좋을까?
얼마 전에 산 하늘색 셔츠 있죠?
오? 부모님한테 면접 떨어진 걸 말 못했는데
부모님도 아마 알고 계실 거예요. 자신감을 가지세요.
이 놀라운 기술의 비밀은
아빠! 기죽지 말고. 안 죽지. 누가 아들인데.
논해 보려고 해요. 남들 지적하고 이런 거 못하거든요. 남들한테 관심이 없어요. 목욕탕 갈 때 입는 옷을 평소에도 이렇게 입고 다니시는 건가요? 가오가 정신을 지배한듯. 비율과 얼굴이 중요하다고 생각합니다. 얼굴이 크면은 이렇게 되거든. 이거 탄피인가요? 탄피인가요 이거? 근데 자켓은 이쁘네요. 이게 남자분들 여리여리. 여러분 오늘 즐거웠습니다.
월드 오브 워시예요. 야, 쟤 잠수함이냐? 퀴속선. 거와이네. 이렇게 못 맞추네. 고티어 베타멜 민폐입니다. 누구시죠? 저희 죄송한데 혹시 운영자님이십니까? 나의 꿈과 희망을 실어서 간다. 올해 김현봉. 호초 블라. 야 뭐야 블랙홀이야? 은신.
Welcome back to the ASL. It's time for a PvP between two gods.
Yes, literal gods.
Literal gods. Tasteless.
Busan. So many people need to learn about this guy. He's just such a legend. This guy was macro for Protoss.
Absolutely he was.
He is such an important person in the history of StarCraft 1 I remember when he came on the scene out of nowhere, he was like, "Hey, I have way too many units, you're dead!" And it was like, oh my god.
Well, he was one of the iconic figures that got abusive with just making a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
The Stork is somebody who's got some of the most calculated builds of all time in StarCraft 1, out of all the races. PvP is a lot about the first few minutes and how you're teching, and if you can bluff, if you can hide anything. I believe that Stork can take this, but Busan should never be underestimated.
Yeah, he really, he was strong. He had a very long career, very good, strong career overall. Had good results pretty late into it and all. And
showed great games for his fans.
Yeah. He tried his best.
He wanted his fans to cheer for him, and they did.
He's definitely a legit player, but again, you stand on the shoulders of giants, and the scene has advanced so much since the time that he was a killer, right? So it's just exciting to even have him qualify for this tournament. Now, can he do something crazy like beat one of the best Protosses of all time?
Let's find out. This is our second game tonight of PvP, Busan versus Stork. In the bottom right, in the yellow, it's Busan. In the upper left, in the white, it's Stork.
I just can't
And they
wait
just
to see
changed
what
it to
you
the
do.
red, by the way. We'll be viewing this with him in the red color.
Okie dokie.
Busan, a player who's so good they named a city after him.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it. You nailed that one.
Yeah.
Stork, a player so good that
They named an animal after him.
Yeah. that's even bigger. It's the animal that brings babies.
Yeah.
Babies wouldn't even exist without storks.
That's right. We wouldn't even be here without Stork because that's how we got here.
Yeah. It's so cool because everyone is kind of known for their own thing. Every StarCraft pro ever, it has their own distinct fingerprint of how they play. And I would probably, thinking about it right now, like put Busan as like the middle Protoss of macro, right? Like I guess you look back, right, and Reach was like the original man toss, like just making tons of units and killing nerds.
Yeah.
Then Busan kind of brought macro to a new level. And then, like, eventually, nowadays we have Best. And it's like, oh, yeah, Best just makes so many units, it's stupid.
Yeah.
But, like, he is, I don't know, man.
And there's somebody, it's so funny, it's like Grimto really showing us that you can use Arbiters. All these different
Everyone
characters
has done
that come up, and we're like, okay, or Slayer's Boxer showing us how to use
Micro.
drop ships.
Yeah.
Micro in general, but especially with drop ships.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He was... That's why, like, Marine King, like, named himself after Boxer. Like, Boxer came on the scene and used dropships to kill Zergs and Protosses in such ways that no one had ever seen. It was so crazy. And
It's
the
funny, too,
final,
because
the final patch of Brood War gave a speed buff to dropships to where they're at now.
Yeah.
And I remember there was, like, a solid week where no Terran ever lost a game to a Protoss.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was, like, the sickest.
It's funny, too, because when Slayer's Boxer did it, he would actually, like, sometimes drop just 2 siege tanks and siege up and just try to kill workers. Which seemed, it's counterintuitive now because people are just ready for that. They'll eat your dropship and your tanks.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was like, what? What are they? Oh, my God. They're just shooting down all my workers. Okay, so in this PvP, we do have Busan down here taking up. He's made 1 Zealot, and he went for a later scout, whereas Stork went for an earlier scout, probably wary of what generation build order Busan might come out with here.
Yeah.
That's one of the tricky things when you play against somebody that's much older is they might be playing a completely different style and you're just not used to it.
Yeah, it definitely could be the case. And also, I think just making sure that he scouts so early has to do with the fact that Stork has to value himself as the best player in the group.
I agree.
And then that is always going to alter how you play. Like, you're going to want to play a little bit safe. You're going to want to do things like scout quicker. We watch pro games, guys. The guy who is clearly the better player will oftentimes scout first because they don't want to be caught off guard by anything.
Yeah, they might be thinking, are you going to cheese me? Like, what if he makes 2 gateways, right outside of his main and just rushes him with Zealots?
Yeah. It doesn't matter how much better Stork is. Busan could kill him with that if he's not ready. Absolutely. Well, range on the way. We'll see if there's any of this 3-gate type of play that we saw before on this map. Wouldn't be super surprised by it.
It's very tempting to go 3-gate if you don't have a clear ramp that you can guard because you're just at risk of being overwhelmed. We see our players fanning out with their units right now to see if they can't catch any probes that might be trying to scout out early on. Dragoon range is on the way here for Busan.
Yeah, and we have something proxied in the bottom left. What is that exactly?
Oh.
Is that a couple of gates?
Yeah, hold on a second. I almost had to do a double take there. It looks like
Yeah,
he doesn't have vision of it now.
Oh, never mind. I'm sorry. That's
yeah.
part of the map. That's actually something you can kill to block that off.
What
I don't know.
For a split second, I thought it was, and I thought, no, that has to be a
It's
doodad or something.
yellow, right? So I was like, wait a minute. Is he, like, going 3 gates with 2 of them over there? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Never mind. Sorry.
Okay, good catcher by Busan. The reason why these Dragoons are forked out like this is because the opening builds are so important. They're trying to catch anything.
Yeah.
In fact, this is a pretty good scout here from Busan. He just sees that there's a few units up there at the ramp. He wanted to see if there's a Nexus making. And it looks like for Busan, I believe it's 3-gate Dragoon with a Nexus and skipping Robo.
Yeah, he went Nexus very quickly here. So I actually do like the spot that he's in right now. This is pretty cool. He's going to be able to macro up heavily. I don't think he's going to die to anything here that Stork's going to throw out. Stork playing a lot safer of an opener, which in some ways, I talk about this a lot even in StarCraft 2. Like, playing safe in PvP, whether it's StarCraft 1 or 2, can be one of the least safe things you can do, because if your opponent's cutting corners and skipping things and you're trying to play around everything, that's where you have less units.
So it looks like the build that Stork's going to be doing is 2-gate Dragoon Observer into Shuttle Reaver. This is like the bread and butter PvP build, and all of the builds are kind of centered around playing around this or trying to counter it directly. But hold on a second. Is he going to make a Nexus here? Because if he does, then Stork's behind.
Yeah.
Now, granted, if you can
I
go
haven't actually
3-gate
seen the Reaver tech over there. Have you seen it?
No, but we saw the observatory. I'm assuming he's going to get it, but if he doesn't, okay, then this means that in some ways Stork is just behind. One player got a Nexus and more gates. The other player got an Observer that didn't really detect much of anything.
It's a significantly quicker Nexus for Busan.
Yeah.
And like the fact that he got his 3 gates really quickly right after this Nexus, he's in good shape. Here he goes. He's starting to put some pressure on. Already picking off a couple Dragoons. That's a big deal. Still pushing forward. Stork's in trouble right now.
Absolutely, he is. Good targeting here by Busan. Look at the splitting of the Dragoon shots. Now, he's ignoring the Zealot, which is doing a lot of damage here. But I have to say, Busan's in very good shape right now. The fact that he's going to basically have more Dragoons and be able to produce out of more gateways. I don't think there's a 3rd gate yet. Okay, he's making it. He is getting the Reaver tech. This is a shuttleless Reaver tech, I believe.
Yeah.
Which is usually to stop an avalanche of Dragoons running over your base.
Which is exactly what's going to happen if he doesn't do it. Like, if he's making a shuttle, he's going to be in trouble. A few probes have been pulled to make sure he can live. Better to lose probes than the game right now. Now, Busan coming up. He's going to start hitting this Nexus.
Man. This is so hard because you really want you need the Nexus up. But if he makes a cancel, I feel like that's almost checkmate. And the only way that Stork can win from here is to... wow.
Oh, my God. Yeah, he has to Reaver push to win this game.
Okay,
that's it.
No, Busan's being crazy. Busan, go back up, man.
Yeah.
Busan, you're a madman here.
Now, he already put a pylon behind the minerals, by the way, so that you could drone drill like that if need be.
Probe drill.
Probe drill. Well, it's drill, no matter
drill,
what you call it, okay? But yeah, he's going to be able to pick that off as well. He knew that was there because he saw the probes come out in a line like that. You have to see something. So that's a common trick, but it gives the tell that he can kill that pylon. And Busan is so far ahead now.
What's funny about this is you could see that there was a fear possibly of DTs coming in here. That's why the Observer was up. And Busan played right around that and never went for the DT tech. Now that we have Stork behind, it seems to me that he wants to just make a Nexus, but I can't emphasize what a deficit he's playing from.
Yeah.
At this point in time, Protoss has so many probes, can now have a huge gateway explosion. He's actually going to match the Reaver tech with his own Reaver tech, probably expecting that surely his opponent will just do a Reaver Dragoon push and just try to counter here. And sometimes just having your own Reaver is enough. Okay,
yeah.
I'm sorry, he did not make a Nexus there. He is going to do the Reaver push. I thought he was going to make a Nexus, and I'm like, wow, you are really confident in just surviving the next 15 minutes of this game.
Yeah. No, you'd think he would straight die from that. It really, when that Nexus had to get canceled, it leaves you only the one option, right? What is your advantage as Stork? It's having the quicker robo. So if he can do a 2 Reaver push and somehow micro like such a god that he can overcome the crazy macro that Busan is going to be showing us here, then, hey, good, he wins. But right now, it is looking grim indeed for Stork.
You can see right now Busan putting a whole layer of pylons outside the exterior of his base so that he can see if, let's say, a shuttle and Reaver try to fly in and drop and kill probes. Because all Busan has to do, essentially, is defend this push, and it's GG. It's Reavers versus no Reavers out yet or in position here for Busan. Let's see how this goes.
Stork tries to push up, does lose a Dragoon instantly right there. Busan knows what angle he's coming from. He's going to have to move up the rest of his units here.
I think Stork actually led with a bruised Dragoon, by the way, there, which is a big no-no. Now, what Busan's doing is he's just buying time. He knows that you got to be pretty micro-intensive to push. There's one shuttle up here, and he's going to drop his own Reaver. Now, the angle may be better here for Busan. These Reavers...
Yeah, this flank is doing pretty well, actually. A couple Zealots going in the front as well, pushing everything back. Those Reavers being dropped way out front. Stork with some fantastic picking up those Reavers
good control here. Okay, he gets the shuttle. I believe he should get the Reavers. Kind of funny targeting here. If he gets that last Reaver, all that he has to do is go back, keep making Dragoons of his own, use his probes to defend. There's no more threat of Reavers coming following this push here.
Yeah, he has to pull some probes off. He has to utilize this Reaver, and he should be able to hold on against these Dragoons. This is all he has to do is kill these Dragoons, and he's got it.
Okay, the Reaver's out. He's coming forward, but you can see the Reaver's at a very good angle, by the way. Wow. Okay, well, Stork just is not going to give up until he's killed off here.
Well, he may as well play it out, right?
He's only got one shot to win this game, but Busan has more gateways, now has more of his Robotech out here, killing off that Observer. He has a shuttle of his own and a Reaver, where I believe Stork has probably had to restart that.
Yeah.
And he's getting the Citadel. That's usually an indicator that the Protoss player in a PvP is feeling comfortable.
Yeah.
Because getting a Citadel is sometimes when a timing attack will kill you.
No, you're certainly right about this. Like, Zealot legs, DTs, Psystorm, any of this just adds another level of complexity for Stork to break him as well. Ooh, even gets a Scarab hit off there, going to push Stork back.
Yeah, it just does not seem that Stork can get in there. So Stork is playing from a disadvantage. He's well aware of that. He knows that the push didn't work out. It's a pretty difficult task to try to come up there and push after they've had a base up and a sufficient amount of Dragoons and a better position than you. But Stork's smart. He's going to try to run around and see if he can't pick up these pylons. There may be a counter push here from Busan. Sometimes we see players tech up later on, but I think Busan, definitely realizing he's got like a really good advantage right now, may want to close this out, because if there's anybody who's going to be able to play at 100%, even at this disadvantage, it would be Stork.
You're certainly right about that. What I want to see from Busan, he added a couple gates, right? Get a couple extra rounds out of those couple extra gates and let Zealot legs finish and just go run him over. Because how in the hell are you going to stop that, right? All the Reaver Scarabs are going to hit these spread out speed Zealots. You have your own couple of Reavers. You have more Dragoons in your opponent. That should be a victory for Busan.
Stork is trying to guard this ramp to the low ground. Now, you want to be careful, because if you lose the shuttle, like in your Busan in this position, you're in a lot of trouble. Losing the shuttle with the Reavers in it is the easiest way to have a game that you're winning into a game that you're losing. So the top pros, if you watch like a PvP fight happen, it almost looks like it's in slow motion, because they're just so careful with that shuttle and Reaver, because that's where you're dealing all the damage. Oh, this is a great play here too.
He's killed 2 Observers, by the way, and he knows that right now Stork wants to be doing things like making Reavers, so this is nice.
Now, the next big tech phase in this matchup is Psionic Storm. Since you spent most of the game making these Dragoons, which stand still while they fire, Psionic Storm blanketing those Dragoons is a terrifying thing. Yeah, of course, storming even a shuttle and a Reaver as well.
Yeah, you throw the Storm down on the Reaver, and like even if you try to save them with the shuttle's almost dead right there. So everything gets picked off very, very quickly when you get into Storm Tech. Now the DT actually running past. Oh, there is an Observer there, but he's running right past it. Oh my God, this is so bad for Stork.
Now he might even want to run to the main. No, he's just going to come right over here. Now we don't know if Stork's actually seen this yet.
Yeah, you don't get a notification other than a blinking on your screen for this, because it's one-shotting.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, he totally doesn't see it, because he's not even attacking either. It's not like he's decided to just go all in.
This should be. This is it basically. Busan has played an S-class game from start to finish here, and is outmaneuvering one of the greatest Brood War players of all time.
This is what a cool moment.
Now, I'm not okay. Now Stork knows for sure. I was wondering if you notice, he cut probes entirely. By the way, he was not making probes throughout all that. And I think he stopped a while back just because he needed to get something up.
Oh my God, 17 kills, 18, and Stork just has to all in from here. So Busan's just going to try to spread out here and crash into this. He has so many speed lots. Archon's in here. He has his own Reavers. This should be an easy win.
All right, here we go. The Reavers for Busan dropping her at the bottom. He needs to target the Reavers of his opponent. One Scarab does connect with the Reavers having to be microed here for Stork. All these Zealots are completely obliterating these Dragoons, and that's it. GG! What an upset!
Oh my God! I was holding my hope out there, Taste. This is crazy. Like, as much as I love and respect Stork as one of the greatest players of all time, to see someone this old and this storied come back right now as a truly grown adult and be able to compete with everyone again. We've never seen stuff like this before. This is a new moment.
This is the, well, we had a shot of it for a second ago, but Stork's face was the, that's not supposed to happen face.
Yeah.
An embarrassing moment for Stork. He could be eliminated from this group. Busan, who everybody was just celebrating because, hell, man, he's here.
Yeah.
How well will he do? He played a very high-level, modern PvP and outmaneuvered one of the most accomplished players of all time, Stork.
A big victory here for Busan. He's 1 win out of 2 that he promised Tasteless.
That's right. The question now is, how will he do in PVZ?
Yeah. Oh, that's his wife.
That's his wife, by the way. Obviously very excited to see her husband now dominating again in the game he used to be one of the best in the whole world at.
That's right.
We're going to go to a short break. When we come back, our winner's match of PVZ. Stay tuned.
지금까지 방구하러 가서 나쁘다는 말 들어본 적 있어? 모두가 쉬쉬해온 방에 대한 나쁜 정보. 다방면으로 보자. 다방.
뭐야 이게? 설마 탄? 전국민 슈팅 그라운드 탄. 지금 사전 예약하세요.
영상 왔다. 잘못 냈다가는 어떤 취급받으냐면 김종국 취급받습니다. 환관창법. 생각의 전환이 조금 필요합니다. 고음부터 빡 주세요. 뭐야? 진짜 본인 목소리예요? 아니 톤이 너무 신기해가지고 나는. 뭐야? 노렸어요?
빛의 힘을 보여드리죠.
반갑네.
얘들아, 힘을 빌려줘. 누구도 나를 막을 순 없어. 방해하겠다면 전부 부숴주지. 판타지 마스터즈 2.
월드 오브 탱크 블리처 맞춰주면 터지죠. 나이스. 야, 내가 제일 잘하는 것 같은데 일반 여자들 중에 맞지? 소련이 좋다고? 이게 멋있더라. 사막. 오, 자 운전 잘해줘야죠. 뒷부다 나와. 죄송합니다. 터집니다. 너무 탱크 새끼들 앞만 보고 있지. 당원의 장사. 탱크가 너무 약해.
튕겼습니다.
이 튕겨 나오네. 왜 이렇게 센데 이 탱크. 월드 오브 탱크 블리츠 많이 사랑해 주시고요.
냄새가 나. 어두운 곳에 숨은 냄새를 풍기는 바로 너!
바로 너!
원인은 쾌쾌한 에어컨 냄새. 신제품 페브리즈 차량용으로 상쾌하게. 차량용.
프로 선수를 넘긴 거네.
오재원의 타석 왼쪽 밀었습니다. 잡았습니다. 이대형 뜁니다. 정윤 뜁니다. 2루에 던집니다. 2루에서 아웃이요. 이대형 왼쪽으로 타구를 띄웠습니다. 다시 한번 보도 잡니다. 감정을 넘습니다. 이대형의 투런 홈런.
We're back here at the ASL. It's time for the winners match of PVZ. Busan looking to be in great form, but we're going into a different matchup now. Protoss versus Zerg. How good is Busan really going to be at a lot of these FE openers, fast expand openers here for Protoss?
Well, you know, he did definitely play during a long stretch of time, so he knows this style of play as well. I don't think I'm too afraid for him, but Gamo seems to be very much on top of his game.
That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, he played really strongly before, so I'm not sure.
He seems to be a natural in this current meta. PvP did not change that much throughout the history of Brood War.
Yeah.
I mean, people got trickier and trickier, but it was always the same idea.
Yeah.
You know, have enough to defend against a big Zealot rush, then get in a bunch of Dragoons with range, try to figure out the right tech. Are you going to play Orthodox and get Reaver, or Unorthodox, get DTs, or skip Reaver? And maybe you'll go into a late game. But PVZ has gone through so many changes, especially in the late game PVZ, the way that you push, the way Zerg turtle now. And there's always a chance that our Zerg just rushes.
Yeah, there absolutely is. Now, Circuit Breaker's a pretty big map, a lot of expansions here. I wonder if he will rush, right? Because it is a big map once again, and he can get quite a nice macro game going on. But that's what Busan excels at, really. You know, he wants to be able to show you that he can work all 12 gateways at once while attacking. You know?
Yeah, I think if we get into a macro game, Busan's going to be in his element. The question is, what can Zerg do to curve that, stop that, sandbag that, hiccup that, anything?
Yeah. Not so sure. He played a very turtley game before, so I feel like this could be turtley once again, and Busan could get himself into that macro game. And having seen the way that Gamo got out of it with the drop, that's not something Busan's going to just let happen.
Right.
You know, if you saw that earlier, you're like, oh, okay. If you're turtling for a long time and then I make it so you can't break me, you'll probably try to drop me. And this is something I don't think will work again tonight. Well, I mean, I guess if we go to outside later on, sure it will, because you can drop anywhere on that map. But
yeah, and by the way, the next match we have is really important, because if the Zerg loses, Outsider's a tough match for Protoss against Zerg. Anyways, we have these two players. Only one for now is going to move on to get that much deeper into the ASL. Let's find out who that'll be. In the upper right, in the brown, it's Busan. In the bottom right, in the orange, it's Gamo.
wow. Just such a wild thing to have Busan play in here. 1985, man.
This is what's so fun about casting a game that's really old, is there's so much history. There's almost nothing that can even compare. Actually, there really isn't anything that can compare to StarCraft 1's really long history.
Yeah, nothing.
The fact that we have these guys, I know a lot of people say stuff like, oh, he's too old, he's not that good. And I'm watching these games we've had in the ASL, and I'm like, well, I don't know if that's been that much of a factor here. We've had a lot of players who've been around for a very long time, and the ones who've stayed active and trained hard are bringing us some of the best games we've ever seen.
It's very true, and of course everything has really changed quite a bit since, you know, the old days. For instance, there's not teams anymore. We no longer have like the massive set of practice partners and kind of new players. He's checking for an Overlord there, guys.
Yeah, that's a trick.
Yeah, he would have seen it. Like if an Overlord had been sent south or north from those left spots, that's exactly when that would have been there. So he's very well trained. But back to that, it's like if you have the mechanics, you can still play this game. It's kind of like, which is really a cool thing about StarCraft 1. It's a bit different in that way. The metagame changes, but it's not as swift as something like StarCraft 2, where it's like you can be so far behind on the meta, you don't play for a month, and you're like, oh my god, what are the strats now?
Yeah, that's
Whereas
very true.
Here it's like, I mean, the strats will change slightly, but if you can macro still, and you can micro still...
Yeah. You can try to get a read on your opponent.
Yeah, you can get up to speed really quickly on what people are doing strategically. So, yeah, it's really we've never really had this happen before, because just the scene was so different and rewarded just young players grinding endlessly. But now we've hit this place where we can have a player like this come back. I'm in love with it.
Well, it's also exciting because we don't have these big teams and team houses, and a lot of people will immediately say, "Oh, well, you got to be on a team." Not really anymore, guys. The internet's pretty powerful. I mean, back when we had to be on a team, you also needed to have really good latency.
Yeah.
So therefore, you had to be playing on LAN. Now we have Lings making a beeline up to this base. Looks like he's going to try to catch this. Now the probe wall has been set up so that basically the Lings can't get through, but this is uncomfortable right now for the Protoss. And in fact, I feel like something is almost a little bit off with the way this game is going for Protoss because he still doesn't have a Nexus.
Yeah, the hatchery just started for Gamo, so I'm not too afraid here for Poussin. He's got the 2 cannons, so this isn't really going to do anything as long as he keeps his Lings there. And I mean, the thing is, I think that like Poussin's showing us that he's very well practiced for this. Like the fact that he had the timing of that Overlord going up perfectly on the left, and then he has this wall up just right. Gamo going to double expand because he went all the way into Zergling speed and stuff before the expand. But I think Poussin, I'm not too afraid for him here.
The thing I'm worried about here with Poussin and what any Protoss player hates is when you have to pull all those probes to defend because you don't know if you might just make a bunch more Lings and try to run in.
Yeah.
So Protoss is forced into this position. So there were like 6 probes not mining there.
Yeah.
Now, granted, he's still making probes back at home. The Zerg can very quickly switch back into drones, and you can see now he's running into a layer tech. And with that other Nexus up later, it's going to be a later second gas. It's going to be a later probe transfer. So we'll see. It depends somewhat on what the Zerg chooses to do. But this could be tricky.
It certainly could be. Now, Poussin, will he just go straight up into Corsairs? Not mining gas for a moment here, so that's kind of interesting. Still keeping 3 probes at the front. That's a nod towards the fact he doesn't really know what's going on. He's sent a unit out. I don't know if that's a probe or a Zealot. Didn't get to see, but probably a probe just going down south to try to have an eye on how many Zerglings there are. Like, is there an all incoming?
For instance, he sees there's no Lings with speed. Which is actually pretty helpful. That means there still could be a Hydra bust. We know better. The Zerg is teching up to a layer. But yeah, the scary thing for Protoss is that a good Zerg can basically prevent you from scouting early on until you get Corsairs out, whereas the Zerg can just scout the Protoss at will.
That's quite true, poking in with the Overlords and, at least seeing the front. The wall-in will tell you so much about what the Protoss is doing because so many buildings have to be there as well. But a Spire coming up. I don't believe that we have a Stargate quite yet, but wouldn't be surprised if we see that thrown down right away.
Yeah, we're still waiting to see that definitive tech from the Protoss as far as what exactly he wants to do in this game. This is a tricky one, guys.
Yeah, he's definitely afraid of Hydra Bust right now.
Yeah.
Like, that's what he's really looking for at this moment.
And we've seen a lot of Hydra Busts in ASL. Now, this one probe got in, which is actually a shock. Can he get to... He sees a layer. Oh! He did not see the Spire. That was not close enough.
Okay. May not have seen the Spire, but seeing the layer I think is actually enough because if you're going to do like a truly crazy Hydra Bust, you're probably just going to skip that layer. If it's going to be like a 3-hatch Hydra Bust, right? So,
oh my God.
Throws down double Stargate. Perfect choice.
Reaver.
Yeah. Cool. Now, this speaks to his age.
Yeah.
Corsair Reaver, if anything does.
So this is actually one of the hardest styles to play. It looks really simple until you actually try it out, and then you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
This is like, if I make any mistakes at all, I die. If my opponent is good at adapting against this, because it's not used that often.
No, it's old as hell.
Old, yeah.
Like, so this comes from a time before Bisu revolutionized this matchup.
That's right.
And it's like one of the things that the Protoss players, the great Protoss players that came before Bisu, would do to try to battle against Zerg. So I'm very excited if he fully commits to this strategy.
Okay, so what you do is you mass up a good amount of Corsairs. Sometimes you pool them because you don't want them to really catch on to what you're doing. You make a bunch. You want to try to blindside the mutas. So you want the mutas to come to you, and then you're like, and you just kill them all with the Corsairs. And then you want to start flying around the map with a shuttle and a Reaver. Now, if you lose the Corsairs or the shuttle and the Reaver, you're basically dead and you have an obsolete tech. So it's like, it sounds awesome and really smart, but then if you mess up at all, it's game over. So the Zerg probably expects there's going to be one Corsair, maybe some Templar coming out here, and he just wants to try to come in here and hit some of these workers. So the Corsairs are going to be sent southbound now to intercept the mutas.
Yeah, a couple Corsairs running right in them, going to force him to go home. He's going to have to switch into Hydras from here for sure. does not want to stay on mutas against multiple Corsairs.
Yep. There's been two ways to play. Oh my God! He was not supposed to lose that Corsair.
No.
So there's been two ways to play this, and one is where you just keep making Corsairs and Reavers, and you actually get Disruption Web. I don't think that's really the best way to play, but it's been done before, and it's really good on maps that are not like this, where it's open. The other one is you eventually switch into either mass Dragoons, like with the Corsair Dragoon Reaver push, or you just switch into a mass Protoss army that would look like what you were going to tech to anyways.
Oh, there's some Scourge in here. Oh, wow. He's now killed 2 Corsairs, and he's bringing up more Scourge. So this is actually going wrong for Busan. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, well, this is...
Oh, my God, Tasus. Like, he actually had an advantage with this build, and then to lose 3 Corsairs, it's not supposed to happen. I feel like the first Corsair, like, he was like, these mutas are going to run.
Yeah.
And then they didn't run, and then he didn't pull it back quick enough, and it died. I'm like, okay, I understand that. You expected them to run, but now he's lost a couple more because he didn't have the cannon to stop the Scourge, and Gameo is just massing up these Scourge.
It's funny because the Zerg can combat Corsair Reaver head-on with Muta Scourge, but it's a bit trickier for the Zerg to pull it off than it is for the Protoss.
Yeah.
The Protoss just has to basically micro away, and the Corsairs kind of do the job for you. But Zerg just went head-on into this. See the probe trap there in the upper right? He has that bound in the same hockey grip as these Corsairs.
No!
Okay.
He's lost like 6 Corsairs.
This is actually the point of no return, I believe.
Yeah, this is like like if he had 6 more Corsairs right now, he would just attack, move, and kill everything that flies.
The other problem is that now Zerg has enough Hydras out.
Yeah.
So the Zerg has better air and better ground. The Protoss has literally nothing going for him. And this is one of the reasons why you don't see this used that often, guys.
He wasn't supposed to lose that many Corsairs, though, to be fair. Like, this was some truly sloppy play from Busan.
Yeah, well, you know, it's unfortunate. Out of all the builds that Protoss can do against the Zerg, this is the one where, like, each unit is so important. It's such a linchpin unit.
Yeah.
That
It's all tech units.
Yeah, that you can't. Yeah, it's all tech. There's not something like Zealots where you're like, well, I can trade these in, and if I lose one here or there, it's okay. It was 100 minerals. It's like, no, man. Like, Protoss doesn't even really get Zealots for a long time when they do this build. So usually what you do is you kill off all the Revelords, kill off all their Mutalisks, and start dropping and killing drones and threatening the Zerg, and you're building up a big ground army along with that.
Well, maybe he can hold on with the Reavers, and if Gameo gets, like, really sloppy, things could start to turn around a little bit, I guess. You know, it looks like he wants to go probably into Size Storm, or... I mean, you might just want to get a Dark Templar and try to utilize the huge Corsair count to get that in, but...
See, the thing is, even right now, Busan's coming down here and hitting these Overlords. This could get blindsided by... Okay, this is it.
Yeah.
So he just comes in here, he targets the Mutas onto the Reaver, and then the Hydras will probably come in here and win the game.
Yeah, only 2 cannons are not going to be able to hold against everything Gameo's made.
Yeah, and there's a lot of Zerg units going up to the north over here. So he gets these 2 cannons. If he can just jump on top of this Reaver. Now here comes the next stream. Get ready. Because it looks like it's a close fight, and then you're like, oh no.
No. Way too much coming out right now. Unfortunately, his Templar tech is a little bit too late to have DTs save him here. The critical damage should be dealt before those pop
Reaver is a hero, though.
Yeah, really.
This Reaver's getting really good connections. It doesn't matter, though. Busan knows it's over. GG!
You can see how frustrated he is here.
Yeah.
Losing like 6 Corsairs. You're going 2 Stargate Corsair against someone who actually went Spire Tech and kept making Spire Tech.
Yeah.
Like, you can't... The thing is, he killed the cannon at the natural, so that's like a layer of prevention for the Scourge and Mutas doing anything against the Corsairs, but you had cannons right nearby. Like, this was definitely a sloppy play from Busan, and he's going to be regretting this all night if he doesn't make it out.
Yeah, well, it's funny because he played so well against Stork, but I feel like, honestly, guys, it was a risky tech choice. It's very hard to pull off.
It's so old school.
It's old school, and I think some people might say it's somewhat obsolete.
Yeah.
I appreciate him trying it, but that was not his game back there, and he's going to go on to our losers match.
First, an interview with Gameo, our first out of the group tonight.
1위로 진출에 성공을 했어요. 소감이 어떠신가요?
You advanced the round of 16, first place in your group. How do you feel now? I was quite nervous, actually.
오늘 경기력 본인이 만족하시나요? 완벽하게?
첫 번째 경기는 솔직히 별로 만족 못할.
But I'm pretty happy that I could play like I wanted to. So are you satisfied with your performance tonight?
맞춰서 플레이도 컨트롤도 다
Well, I'm not really satisfied.
색다른 그런 저그.
I think the first match didn't go as well as I wanted, but the second match really did.
했는데 뭐 연습할 때도 잘 통했었나요?
처음 쓸 때는 통했었는데 두 번, 세 번 연습할 때는 안 통했었거든요. 근데
The build you used in the first match, did it work well when you prepared it?
방에 봤을 거라 생각하고 시도했던 빌드.
예, 그러면서 첫 경기를 딱 잡았을 때 오늘 올라가겠구나라는 생각.
I think that Iamong really didn't expect me to do this build, and that's why I used it. Did you expect to advance first place in this group?
지호 형이.
예.
고마웠어요. 그지 고맙지는 않았지만 뭐 속으로는
Stark is in my group,
so
I figured it's pretty clear he will make it out first.
그때 느낌은 어땠습니까?
저는 로보틱스 먼저 봐가지고
Pretty thankful to Busan for knocking him out for me.
근데 약간 제가 지호 형보다는 컨트롤 더 잘할 수 있다는 생각을 하고 달려들었던 게 더 좋았던 것 같아요.
예, 뭐 복귀한 지
I'm
얼마
having
되지
a lot of
않아서
confidence.
크게
You know, my micro against Busan was quite good.
싶은데 16강에서의 그런 그 좋은 경기 그리고 이 8강 진출까지 자신할 수 있습니까?
일단 뭐 목표했던 것보다는 훨씬 많이 올라왔기 때문에.
You know, you haven't been doing too many offline matches lately, and it's hard to make a big goal for yourself. But do you think you can make it to the round of 8?
제가
Says well.
네.
I already reached my goal, to be honest. From now on, I'm just here to enjoy things. That's his winning ceremony right there.
네,
Salute.
세레머니는 세레머니고 이제 또 아시다시피 16강에는 훨씬 더 쟁쟁한 선수들이 기다리고 있잖아요. 멋진 각오 한 말씀 부탁드립니다.
다른 선수들은
Alright, round
저를
of
좀 쉽게
16.
생각할 수도 있지만 제가 준비를 잘해가지고
A lot of world-class players are going to be
생각하는
waiting for you.
부분을 좀 파고들어서
Any words for them?
좀 놀랍게 만들 수 있는 그런 선수가 될 수 있도록 하겠습니다.
네, 감사합니다. 축하드립니다.
Says I will
네,
prepare well.
16강 첫 번째 승자인
against my
김경호
opponents.
선수까지 만나봤습니다. 저희는 김승현, 송병구 선수의 패대전
I'll show
경기로
another great
잠시 후에
performance in the round of 16
돌아오겠습니다.
as well.
We're going to go to a break, guys. When we come back, the losers match, Mong versus Stork, a PvP.
지금까지 방구하러 가서 나쁘다는 말 들어본 적 있어? 모두가 쉬쉬해온 방에 대한 나쁜 정보. 다방면으로 보자. 다방.
치키치키 차키치키 촉촉촉 이겨라 요괴들아.
뭐가 그리 급하셔?
스노우 디펜스 달러도 받으라고. 팔구야 뭐하냐?
그냥 여기 있다. 그냥 준비됐으셔.
신규 영웅 업데이트.
스노우 디펜스 다운 받으셔.
이게 도대체 뭐야? 대박! 소름! 사전 등록하면은 소미 캐릭터 준대요.
그래서 우리는 인공지능 어플로 한 가지 실험을 해봤습니다.
면접 때 어떤 옷을 입는 게 좋을까?
얼마 전에 산 하늘색 셔츠 있죠?
오? 부모님한테 면접 떨어진 걸 말 못했는데
부모님도 아마 알고 계실 거예요. 자신감을 가지세요.
이 놀라운 기술의 비밀은
아빠! 기죽지 말고. 안 죽지. 누가 아들인데.
논해 보려고 해요. 남들 지적하고 이런 거 못하거든요. 남들한테 관심이 없어요. 목욕탕 갈 때 입는 옷을 평소에도 이렇게 입고 다니시는 건가요? 가오가 정신을 지배한 듯. 비율과 얼굴이 중요하다고 생각합니다. 얼굴이 크면은 이렇게 되거든. 이거 탄피인가요? 탄피인가요 이거? 근데 자켓은 이쁘네요. 이게 남자분들 여리여리. 여러분들 오늘 즐거웠습니다.
월드 오브 워십. 야, 쟤 잠수함이냐? 쾌속선. 커와이네. 이게 못 맞추네, 씨. 고티어 베타는 민폐입니다. 누구시죠? 저 죄송한데 혹시 운영자님이십니까? 나의 꿈과 희망을 실어서 간다! 올해 김연봉. 호쳐, 불라. 야, 뭐야, 블랙홀이야? 은신.
Quiet, Artosis. The show is on. We're back. We're going to go into our losers match. I have to say, I didn't expect these two guys to be in the losers match.
Well, they're kind of like the players you'd expect to be in the winners match.
Yeah.
So kind of the opposite. It's opposite day here.
It's totally opposite day.
Game out in first place. Busan beat Stork. Yeah, I don't know.
That's exactly why later on I'm going to eat my microphone and cast into a banana. No, I have to say I'm really surprised that Mong and Stork are facing off, and I actually don't know who wins this because Mong is very solid.
Yeah, he's a really good PvP player. He's just really strong overall recently. So, while it would be an upset to beat Stork, it wouldn't be a huge upset. And then Busan is waiting on Outsider, which is like a crazy map.
The thing is, as legendary as Stork is, I don't feel like he's in the same kind of condition that we see, for instance, Bisu, Jadong Flashin when we're watching their games, where we think, damn, they're really good.
I tend to agree with you that he seems slightly below them right now.
Right.
But truthfully, wasn't he always just slightly below them?
Tasteless. Yeah, I mean, I suppose, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Good luck to Stork and Mong as we go into our losers match where one of these two will be knocked out.
I love this music. It like makes me think I'm about to start playing a track on F-Zero or something.
Yeah, actually,
that's what it is.
Good comparison.
I miss that game.
Was
that the name of it? F-Zero?
In the racing game?
Yeah.
With the space or whatever? Yeah, that's a great game. In the upper left, Mong.
I like Captain Falcon. Shut up.
In the bottom left, in the red, our legend Stork, who could get knocked out and not win a single game here tonight.
Yeah, wouldn't that be wild? You expect him to get really deep. But who knows? PvP, crazy, whoa! Circuit Breaker is our map here, 4-player. See how they end up playing. Of course, let's not forget on Camelot, Stork was trying to play too safe. And
yeah,
as I love to harp on, when you play too safe, it's unsafe.
In PvP especially.
Yeah, especially, well, that's, I guess, specifically what I'm talking about. You can't play around everything, because when you play around everything, cutting edges wins.
Yeah, some guy who just really rushes towards something very decisive.
Yes, exactly.
Sometimes will trip you up. So, yeah, they're both hugging the left side of the map. The early game of this looks really simple, but actually is quite technical depending on what they're going to do. But we can deem some of the things that they're going to probably do is be not as concerned with zealots as you would be on other maps, because there's locations, there's 4 of them that you can spawn in on this map.
Yeah.
There's a huge travel distance, so we may see zealots skipped, or we may see just 1 zealot.
Yeah.
Like on Camelot, it's actually a much more complicated map to deal with in PvP.
Indeed. Because it's a 4-player map, you might see something like Stork scout cross positions, so you can see if there's proxy gates in the middle. I mean, Mong could do that as well. I think Stork is less likely to pull off a rush like that, just because, again, the better you are, the more safe in general you want to play.
That's one of the things in Brood Wars is the better you are, the more you actually just want to go into a normal game, because it's usually just easier to win. If you're the underdog, a lot of times you will. Looks like they're both going to check for that possible rush and see.
Now they know where each other's bases are, too.
Yeah. But yeah, if the better you are, normally you just want to get into a normal game.
Yeah.
Because you're probably going to win in a variety of different ways, where if you're the worst player, you might be able to pull a fast one. But, of course, there's a predictability factor with that. If you know they're probably going to rush you, can just check for that and counter it as well.
Yeah, like, for instance, if Stork was playing against a random guy on the internet, right, some fan that watches this channel right now is listening to us, he would go for, like, 2 gates, some Zealots, an Observer, before he does anything, because he just knows he'll kill you. You know,
no matter what, he's
as long as
he
he does not die to something like DT, right, or a Zealot Rush, like the easiest to pull off.
Hold up, Manor Pylon. Great move here by Stork. So you'll see this a lot in PvPs, and it's actually really frustrating. He builds a pylon there that locks in most of the probes. Now he used the probe glitch to try to move some of them out, and then you can cancel it. Both players will try to do it to each other pretty often. Some spawns are just easier to do it than others. So he has a Zealot blocking it so the probe can't make it. It's also one of the reasons why sometimes you will see a Zealot made early on is if you're just going for Dragoons, they Manor Pylon you and you're like,
you can't stop it. It just kills you, basically.
Yeah. Then your Dragoon comes out and it's trying to kill a Pylon at the longest. It takes forever.
It takes forever for the Dragoon to get out in the first place, and then the Zealot just deals damage very, very quickly. So that can actually clear it and force a cancel. So anyways, he's dealt with it pretty well. Stork's probe is on the run.
That's right. We have the Pylon coming down now. Dragoon range is on the way. By the way, that wasn't like a huge disaster there,
no, it was
the Manor Pylon, but it is something you can do to try to trip up your opponent early on.
Yeah, like for instance, you know, you lose 25 minerals canceling that off, and more minerals were lost for Mong than for Stork there. Just mining time. Like he had like 4 probes that were like 3 were glitching, 1 was stuck,
and the other ones were going around to the back.
Yeah, exactly, and that's way more than 25 minerals.
It's easy to underestimate when you see like workers get interrupted how much money you're actually losing. But it's a lot when you see workers get interrupted. Now this was a great scout here. Mong slipped in the back right when Stork tried to push out. He's able to scout everything. He sees there's a robo at the ramp, which can sometimes mean he's going to do a Reaver expand without a shuttle. Doesn't necessarily mean that. Oh,
and 3 gates now for Mong.
And I believe he had a robo too, right?
Yes, he did. Right up at the ramp as well.
So he probably started the robo before that probe got in there. But what he'll do is he'll just get an observer and probably try to get a bunch of Dragoons and maybe try to sneak out and expand. Now, this map in the middle, it's wide open. And so even though Dragoon Reaver is really strong, if you get like a really huge arc around their army, you can end up with a Reaver not being able to be utilized. But we don't know if Stork's just going to do the same build he did in the last game, or if he's going to try to sneak an expansion up here.
Well, he's gotten the Reaver tech already, so going to have that Reaver out quite a bit more quickly, and hopefully hold on against anything Mong does. Now, Mong with a quicker 3 gates, definitely going to be producing out of those. It looks like he wants to hit very fast here.
Yeah, it's very true. I wonder. The problem is if he just goes 3 Gateway Dragoon, you're okay if you get a Reaver and put it on the low ground. You might need to get a shield battery. You might be asking yourself, why does he not get a shuttle right away? Well, you can get the Reaver out faster and get a Nexus up, and you're not really going to try to attack them with this build for Stork. You're just trying to get a base up and get into a healthy mid-game and then win from there.
Now, 7 Dragoons and a Zealot. It's going to be probably 5 Dragoons and a Zealot on the other side with a Reaver on the way. So definitely this is something that Mong has to hit very swiftly. When that Reaver comes out, it's going to be a lot harder to hold on. Or rather to break him. 4 Dragoons, 1 Zealot. There should be 1 more Dragoon popping out, I think, in a second.
Yeah, no, I believe you're correct. Now he actually needs to get on the high ground. Yeah. Oh my God!
This is actually a pretty big deal. But the Reaver's coming down, so that definitely can help. The Zealot getting in front, already picking off some of these Dragoons. Stork could be in a lot of trouble trying to get to the high ground. Some great Scarab connections here. A drill with the probes as well. Oh, and he does end up killing that Reaver.
Okay, so he's taking the Reaver out. There's still more Dragoons, though. It's important to note, right now it's 1 Dragoon against what's about to be 6 as these other reinforcements come in. Excuse me, 5. And this means that this very acute timing may just barely work out. And I have to say, I don't think that the Scarab shots were fired perfectly there by Stork.
I think the first one was good, and then the second one was a little off, and he barely lost the Reaver at the end.
It's important to have your army, your smaller army, in front of that Reaver so they can't get over to where it is. And taking out this Nexus is bad because it might end up in a similar situation where Stork has to do a Dragoon Reaver push again.
It definitely could be. Now, luckily for him,
oh my God, this rally is...
Nexus is not up yet for Mong. He's started it, but this is not like up for 100 years like it was in the Busan game.
Okay, he takes that out and just targets down the Nexus, and he says, see ya, running away. Wouldn't want to be ya.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, he definitely wants to be Stork, but not in this game.
No, not in this game for sure. What's funny about this is that he wanted Stork would have the Nexus up, get those gates up, and then have like a nice Dragoon Reaver push like a little bit later on. But he took out the Nexus, so now I think Stork just does the same thing we saw the first time we saw him play. Is just try to do a Reaver push.
This, you know what really sucks, is he brought that second Reaver down the ramp to try to save the Nexus, and he lost the Reaver and the Nexus. That is like the worst thing in the whole world, because if he has an additional Reaver here, okay, he can actually do a push, but he doesn't have a shuttle, he doesn't have a Reaver, he doesn't have a Nexus, he has like less Dragoons. Stork has 0 going on. Look at this. He's trying to punch out against more Dragoons, so he has to pull back.
And if you note, the way that Mong backs up, he goes right at that ramp because he knows if Stork tries to run through, the ramp acts like a filter, so all the Dragoons can't get there at once. Mong's Dragoons are firing, his are not. And Stork now trying to come up here with an observer. He wants to see what the status is in Mong's base, but he's going to see that Mong is mining from an expansion. He'll be able to check the patches to see how long that's... Oh, my God. Wow. Stork is not going to go for the push.
Well, I think he's looking at this and saying there's just no way.
Yeah, I suppose you're right.
You cannot really break him right now, so you may as well expand. Hopefully you utilize your Reavers well enough that you can come back, but that's a very tall order.
Sometimes with this build, if it went a little bit better for Stork, you can get shuttle speed later on and start doing these crazy drops, especially in these spots, and trying to come back this way. But I don't know if he's going to get it this time around. We have a shuttle, but I don't believe there's no speed as far as we can tell.
Well, you know what? If he pokes with the Dragoons, maybe he pulls the army to the side and can get in with the shuttle and do something, but... This is like, Stork right now is really just trying to make something happen with nothing. He's trying to be MacGyver at this moment. He's got a hockey ticket and a paperclip, and he needs to kill some probes with them.
Yeah, the Nexus is almost done. I have to say, Stork is, I know what he's trying to do, but it's really risky trying to be out on the map when your army is basically inferior. He's hoping that Mong might be tempted to try to push out in the game, and he can jump back in there with his own Reaver and drop the probes and maybe hold off the attack. So I have to say, Stork did a pretty good job between the Observer, the Shuttle, and Dragoons. He actually managed to get Mong all the way back here in his base.
The only other thing that could have happened is they both shoot Scarabs and both get picked up. It's like...
Now
PvP can be funny like that.
He doesn't want the Reaver to shoot that pylon. That pylon actually has a lot of defensive purposes because sometimes the units, when they first get there, might fire the first shot at the pylon. Or the Scarab might fire at the pylon, and you just don't care if the pylon takes damage. You want your army to be in good shape. Now, Mong should have a good counter push coming up here. And it's going to be pretty difficult here for Stork to deal with if he does decide to do it. He may, in fact, not push, but instead try to do a contain. And just keep massing up and maintaining his lead.
That could be. It's definitely going to be hard to try to push over the bridge. You have to go down to the side and stuff. A lot of maneuvering will go on at that point. What will Mong do? Is he going to try to punch through? Okay, the way that he's walking around, it looks like he wants to. Going down and around.
What he might do is try to poke the front and then drop. And even though you know this is coming, it can be pretty difficult to deal with. Going into the main is unlikely in these positions. Okay, so he's going to come over here. Let's see if Stork can grab this shuttle if Mong overextends. Now,
totally sees that. Mong, we don't really see if anyone's adding tech quite yet, like anyone wants to get a Citadel. But if someone's going to take a third, I would say it would probably be Mong at this point. Stork is still on the back foot. Citadel now coming up here for Mong.
Okay, Mong's going to try to go for it.
All right, here we go.
Uh-oh. The shuttle needs to get underneath. Oh, my God.
That hit was so magnificent.
Okay, he needs to pick up this next. Oh my God, he barely picked that up. So the Reavers are trying to fire down at each other while avoiding the other Scarab shots from the opposing side. Now it's 1 Reaver versus 2. Stork is actually playing a little bit better here.
Yeah.
And Mong seems to have overextended. The Dragoons now trying to get that shuttle, takes out its shields as it does get away.
Some really awesome Scarabs from Stork. This is exactly what he wanted to happen, is for the battle to come and then just play better with Reavers, and he did it.
And now Stork is back in this game.
Yes.
And I have to say, it was pretty ambitious for Mong to try to push in and kill him there.
It was.
Usually the defender has a little bit of an advantage, as it's harder to scoot the Reavers forward. It's easier to try to back up with him. Now, he's going to try to do the follow-up. Oh, don't even try that. Do not do that. That's suicide. Stork with a lot of observers out on the map. I don't see where the other observers are here for Mong, but like Stork has a pretty good idea of everything that's going on. Stork actually could come back and push through here.
Yeah, I don't dislike his position completely now. You know, he did a great job holding on to that. He's got enough units. I'm not too afraid. His Citadel is a little bit later, so there still could be another strong push coming up with some speed lots in there.
So he's now getting the Templar Archives. Mong is. I'm actually not clear. Does Stork have a Templar Archives?
He was putting up the Citadel last we saw. It was a good deal later, so if he is making a Templar Archives, it's not done yet.
This is another little mini game that happens in PvP as you're running around with the observer trying to shoot out their observer. Templar Archive started. By the way, Stork made 3 Reavers, so I think he's afraid that Mong's going to try to push again. And funnily enough, Mong, it appears, is going to try to push again, or at least the bare minimum do a contain.
Yeah, it looks like a contain for now as this probe moves up here to take a 3rd base. So I like the idea behind it, but with these speed lots, I would be surprised if he does not poke in and try to get something done. The speed lots really kind of screw up all the micro that you're having. They're very good against the Dragoons.
If he does speed lots, so I think he loses with the push because it's 3 Reavers.
It is 3 Reavers, but if you come in from as many angles as possible and you have your own Reavers, he might be able to break him. His army is still really big.
He's just going to run in here. He does a little drop. Now, this isn't going to do too much damage, I don't believe. That Scarab most certainly is not going to connect. But he's interrupted mining. He's got a good contain. Stork needs to get a 3rd base because Mong's getting a 3rd base. Stork, unfortunately, always behind in these games. Doing a good job of playing from behind, but not winning so far.
It's very tough to do. You know, these guys know how to play PvP at quite a high level. Look at that, Stork, very low health on this shuttle, but moving down towards his 3rd base, so definitely wants to be able to secure this right now.
Now, Mong retracts his army out into the middle of the map. Says, I have my Nexus up. I'm ahead of you even if you do take a 3rd base. We have 1 DT sent out here. Looks like this is going to be caught easily here by Stork. But is Stork going to try to push? I don't think he should. Zealot legs versus slow Zealots.
No, I don't think he's pushing. I think he's just like kind of posturing a little bit here. He definitely still has good vision, as you pointed out before. His observers are spread very well, and Mong hasn't cleared them. So if he just kind of holds this area, continues to kind of match Mong for techs, he can out-micro him in the battles. We already saw that once.
Yeah, very true. Zealots and Dragoons going back and forth right now. Mong, both these guys are going to be getting close to maxing out. We need to see some Templars incorporated with the rest of the army. You can see Stork very concerned about not sending his shuttle out, because if he loses that, then he probably can't come back. Simply put, Stork's going to come out here now. He's got to be careful. The shuttle is low.
God, if he were to lose that.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my
10
God.
10 HP. He's got to drop. Okay. He's got to hold his ground here.
He's got to be so careful about this. Scarab hit comes out from I Am Mong. Those speed Zealots chasing back these Dragoons. Stork has to retreat.
And in fact, is Mong going to try to push through the ramp here?
Oh, man, if he had lost that shuttle, Tasteless.
Oh,
that one hit left on it at the end.
I think if he kills Stork's shuttle and Reavers, then he just pushes in and rolls.
Now look at this. It looks like he has Psystorm, and this is going to make such a difference. You can't even pick these up because the shuttle's so low. Look at that Psystorm.
Wow.
Oh, God.
Somehow that shuttle's still alive, too.
Yeah, I don't even understand that. But the Archons going in the front. The Archons of Stork doing some huge work against these Zealots, all just getting up together. The Reaver is doing big work against the Zealots as well, but a huge army here from I Am Mong pushing down.
Yeah, Mong does take out that last Reaver. Now keep in mind, it's going to be Speed Zealots rallying in with some more Dragoons here. And I don't think that Stork should have enough. In fact, he's going to morph one more Archon and keep pressing. And this could cause Stork to crumble.
He's running away right now with just his few amounts of units. Now, this Dark Templar could do something. We've seen no observers with this army. So the DT can turn this all around until Mong gets an observer.
Yeah, in fact, I think this might keep Stork in this game a little bit longer. Good control there, blocking the Dragoon with the figure of the DT. However, I think if he just gets one more observer, he should be able to push through.
Yeah.
There's a possibility we don't see more Reavers made. Sometimes that happens when all the Reavers are picked off and Storm's in the game.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit easier to use.
I think you're right. It should just basically be High Templar, Zealot, Archon from here on out. Like maybe a couple Dragoons mixed in there, but I think Stork at this point, he is just scraping by. I am Mong looking ready to possibly kill him and eliminate him, giving Stork last place tonight.
Mong is trying to close this one out. He does take out the observer over there. He may be making DTs back at home. And he wants to jump on this expansion. There might be too many Zealots here for Stork and too many Archons here for Mong. So Mong would just win the fight outright.
Maybe here he comes towards this third base right now.
One
Another Reaver mixed in.
My God.
That was a
Scarabs,
good storm too.
Storms and Archon hits are going to eliminate those Zealots pretty easily. And that should be game here.
Just about nothing left here for Stork. You can see him turn his head sideways. That's it.
Wow,
Jeez.
Stork gets knocked out. Mong's going to our final match.
Really fantastic play out of I Am Mong. Gets ahead early on with that push. A very deadly micro, and you know, Stork kind of being out of position with those Dragoons down the ramp. Tries to save his Nexus with the second Reaver walking out, loses both. Like, he just got into such a bad spot there.
Nice try, Stork. He's now been eliminated, so we're going to be going on to our last best of one for tonight. Mong versus Busan.
Yeah, and that's a match that maybe Busan is able to win. Maybe he's able to go up to that finals. He already beat Stork tonight.
We're going to take a short break. When we come back, our final match for tonight's ASL.
You won't crucify me.
지금까지 방구하러 가서 나쁘다는 말 들어본 적 있어? 모두가 쉬쉬해온 방에 대한 나쁜 정보. 다방면으로 보자. 다방.
뭐야 이게? 설마 탄? 전국민 슈팅 그라운드 탄. 지금 사전 예약하세요.
영상 왔다. 잘못 냈다가는 어떤 취급받으냐면 김종국 취급받습니다. 황간창법. 생각의 전환이 조금 필요합니다. 고음부터 빡 주세요. 뭐야? 진짜 본인 목소리예요? 아니 톤이 너무 신기해가지고 나는. 뭐야? 노렸어요?
빛의 힘을 보여드리죠.
반갑네.
얘들아, 힘을 빌려줘. 누구도 나를 막을 순 없어. 방해하겠다면 전부 부숴주지. 판타지 마스터즈 2.
월드 오브 탱크 블리처! 맞춰주면 터지죠, 나이스? 야, 내가 제일 잘하는 것 같은데, 일반 여자들 중에, 맞지? 소련이 좋다고? 이거 멋있더라, 사막. 오, 자, 운전 잘해줘야죠. 뒷부다 나와! 죄송합니다. 터집니다. 똥 탱크 새끼들 앞만 보고 있지. 당원의 장사. 탱크가 너무 약해.
튕겼습니다.
이 튕겨 나오네. 왜 이렇게 센데 이 탱크? 월드 오브 탱크 블리츠 많이 사랑해 주시고요.
냄새가 나. 어두운 곳에 숨은 냄새를 풍기는
바로 너! 바로 너!
원인은 쾌쾌한 에어컨 냄새. 신제품 페브리즈 차량용으로 상쾌하게. 차량용.
와, 프로 선수를 넘긴 거네.
오재원의 타석 왼쪽 밀었습니다. 잡았습니다. 이대형 뜁니다. 정윤 뜁니다. 2루에 던집니다. 2루에서 아웃이요. 이대형 왼쪽으로 타구를 띄웠습니다. 다시 한번 뻗어갑니다. 담장을 넘습니다. 이대형의 투런 홈런. All right, we're going to go into our final match, and I'm actually really excited about this one, Artosis, because the map's Outsider.
Yeah.
It's a Protoss versus Protoss. There's been a long history of island maps or semi-island maps in Brood War, and when you have can we call this a semi-island map or something like that?
Yeah,
I guess
it's like
just
a semi-island
barely
map.
a semi-island map. So how does that work in a PvP, a matchup where one of the core units is a shuttle with Reavers in it?
Yeah, it could definitely be a very fun one because of this. Not exactly sure what this will end up looking like.
Frankly, late game PvP is going to be madness.
Here's a question for you: who do you think is going to win and why?
I really don't know.
I think that
Busan actually could be in good shape because he's old school enough that he competed in a lot of these kind of maps.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is I think Busan, with the wealth of experience that he has, I think he can absolutely take this down.
Let's find out. This is our last match of tonight's ASL. A Protoss versus Protoss on a pretty crazy map. Let's do this. In the upper right, in the purple, it's Busan. In the bottom right, in the red, it's Mang.
Now, I want to talk about something really crazy that we probably won't see.
Okay, go ahead.
Just like, you know, when ASL started back up, I talked about battle cruisers for a long time before we saw a game with battle cruisers. But Ultimate Endgame TVT involves battle cruisers. Now, Ultimate Endgame PvP, this is going to sound crazy, but eventually it turns into carriers and red Archons. Like, this has happened before.
Dark Archons, yeah.
Yeah. I call them red Archons because they're red. They're not actually very dark. I mean, I guess they're darker than a white, bright Archon. But, like,
you mean on a map like this, it would turn into that?
It could, theoretically. Like, if you look at, like, if people eventually can never break each other, you're on an island-ish map, you can get into crazy stuff like that. And, in fact, one of the only draws...
Arbiters with recall as well.
Yeah, no, that can happen as well. But when you look at, like, what can occur at the very end, right? Like, we have actually one of the only draws. There's been a few draws. I don't actually remember how many draws we've had in professional Brood War, but I remember one was a PvP where no one could move anymore. They had to just sit behind their cans with their red Archons because it was mind controlling all the expensive crap. It was really cool. But yeah, that's just, I think that there's less than a 1% chance something like that happens. But I just wanted to throw it out because this map is a bit wild.
The reason why we could ever get to that point in time is simply because this map, there's a big square, like a big circle along the edges of the map that's all connected, but it's blocked off to some extent by minerals. So a lot of bases that you can expand to, you can't just push by ground. You'd have to drop, which means you could just turtle up, and then you could end up in a pretty wild and crazy game.
Yeah, and you never really know how something like that is going to turn out, because if someone tries to go like way too crazy on game and then someone goes super aggressive against that, they'll win. But if you go like midway crazy on game, there goes crazy end game, then they're going to win. And anyways, again, I don't think it'll turn out to be a game like that, but this is going to be one where I do feel like as long as no one screws up early, it's going to be pretty hard to kill each other.
So the one Zealot's out here. We did see that it was Busan trying to get a Manor Pylon up here to block off Mong. Didn't quite get it up, but we saw the way he was circling through the patches. He was looking for an opening to try to pull that off. You can also see the pylon at the top there above the purple nexus for Busan. It's actually put in such a position so that it stops one of the possible Manor Pylon locations.
I love stuff like that.
Yeah, it's
so
great.
cool.
See, you can't make a pylon to block those minerals in. You could make it in where the minerals are, like touching the minerals, which sometimes is worth it as well. But it's also harder to pull off.
Yeah, the probe's just going back and forth. Getting Manor Pylons is actually a very difficult thing to do. Except if you're a Terran player playing against Protoss and it's just this skillless crap that you're angry about.
So we have the probes continuing to rotate around. They want to try to be in here for as long as possible without losing the probe, because if they manage to do that, they can at least delay whatever the tech is. Or possibly spot the tech. For instance, now he sees there's, Dragoon range. That's normal.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll see people even skip Dragoon range, try to rush out of DT, but can't really do it if you have a probe moving through here.
Well, that would be quite a mistake indeed. DT tech, and your opponent just walks you over with Dragoons with range and an Observer. Finally, the probes are going to be pushed out, and now they can decide exactly what it is that they want to tech to or expand to.
Looks like he should get this probe with a one last shot. Robo Bay coming here for Busan. I believe we're going to have a quick Nexus come up here for Mong. Now, keep in mind, this expansion's in the back of your base, so you can get a Nexus before a Robo, and possibly you still hold off a 2-gate Dragoon Rush. So,
totally.
That being said, it appears this game is sizing up to be one where Busan is probably going to be trying to drop, harass, or push his opponent Mong.
And these are mineral bases, by the way, that they're taking. Like when you take it on your side, the gas is on the other side, and that obviously you can't really send probes to that nexus. So that's going to change it quite a bit.
Hold on, watch this. Now, see, that's the trick. You can make a pylon there, cancel it, but you spam right-click through the patch, so you can actually end up scouting their main. But Busan's so good; he's ready for this.
Indeed, he is. The Dragoon's sitting there. And we'll pick this off almost immediately. Doesn't get really any intel other than he has a Dragoon and a pylon. Probably figured that already. Very quick Reaver tech here for Busan.
Now, I'm a little bit worried about how exactly Mong is going to deal with speed shuttles if Busan decides to get that.
Yeah, it can be pretty hard, but he's already been kind of prepping for it, like that pylon in the top right of his base. He's just kind of spreading things out so he can see where attacks come in from, because he was planning on getting such a fast Nexus. But as long as he's making 3-gate range Dragoons and he has some spotters, he should be able to push the shuttle back pretty well. Of course, if you have speed, then you can still do the harass, but I think he is going to have to get that, and that's a pretty big commitment.
Yeah, so the longer that Mong's on these mining bases, the more ahead he can get, but that hasn't quite kicked in yet because there's still this tech advantage. I don't really like the fact that Busan is going to try to push a probe through possibly. Oh, I'm sorry.
I think
he
he's
might actually expanding. Yeah. Even then, I don't know if that's a good spot to expand from. It seems like that's really easy for the other player to just go harass that location. Okay.
Yeah, I know what you mean with that. That it is interesting for that point, but if you're rushing into Reaver and possibly Speed Shuttle, you should be the one with control of those harassment areas. So I think he'll be okay if he does make that, but he's still not making a Nexus. He's actually just going to push out.
Now, you can push up a ramp with Reavers. Wow, I was just going to see it. Oh, that did not spot it.
That was a pretty sick, sick change of direction right there, Busan. Jeez.
Pause the game. Tell them you're going to let the WG Tour admin know what happened here.
Well, this is where Iamong pauses and says, "Take a screenshot." You used to be able to do that.
Oh yeah. Okay, it's coming forward now, and keep in mind, one player has a shuttle, the other does not.
Yeah, that makes a big difference. Of course, this rerun high ground, a lot of shots will miss. Of course, you can dodge those shots if you just pick up whatever unit the Scarab is going to hit.
So this is a good spread here by Mong, because there's no way for the other player to get up the ramp without getting hit from a bunch of different angles. The Nexus is almost done here for Busan.
Yeah, this might turn into Busan just having to go home and sit up his ramp next, because the amount of units that Mong is going to have shortly here is going to be really hard for him to stop.
Okay, so the one thing he keeps there is the shuttle. Now that's what I was talking about. Dragoon, or rather, shuttle speed, zipping around the map. If you're not in a good position, you will lose all those workers. But if you lose that shuttle with the Reavers in it, you're probably going to lose the game as well. We have 2 Dragoons coming down here now. I believe it's just 1 Reaver in that shuttle, right, Artosis?
Yeah, in Busan's shuttle, there's 1 Reaver, and I believe only 1 Reaver for Iamong at the moment. He did pop out a shuttle, though. Now, there's flying down here towards the actual base. He might have a Dragoon in here at this point.
I think he's got 2 down here.
Oh, I mean in the shuttle. I think he probably added another unit to it.
Oh, really? I think sometimes you don't, because the Dragoon, it's not like when you drop a Terran. But hold on. He's going to try to come in here now. And that was a great connection. But he is going to lose that shuttle with the Reaver.
All right, well, it does a little bit of damage there, but losing, all that tech is painful. It's not that much as far as gas goes. The Reaver's only 100 gas and everything else is minerals, so can continue to produce that on just the 1 gas expand. But Mong going to take this ground natural, and that does give him another gas.
Now, losing that that Reaver back there, this does an opening where Mong can really try to seize the map. So he stays back here, and from here, it's like Mong can just get a contain up. Mong is basically taking a lead and is pretty much keeping it. Even though he got a lot of probes back there, it's really important that you don't. Oh, hold up. Busan is not ready.
This could deal a lot of damage. 2 Reavers in this shuttle right now. Oh, that one's glitched.
That one's, that one's not going to connect.
Yeah, but look at that. 2 Dragoons falling instantly here. So it doesn't hurt the economy too bad, but still, this is really successful.
You can see
what
Mong.
Was that?
That was an observer.
Oh, okay.
So you can see Mong actually wanted to come in here and try to, if he could, run up the ramp, but he didn't see the army go back. But he does pull the shuttle back. Another speed shuttle here for Busan, and it seems like the majority of the army is actually over here containing Busan, so there might not be enough to defend this drop, and he could end up losing a lot of workers.
Okay, let's see if he can get in there and try to even up the score a little bit. Mong on these 3 bases and having that additional gas, you definitely got to give that edge to. Still Mong with a big contain going on. Here comes that shuttle.
Now, I'm not sure if the Scarab can fire through the patches.
No,
I don't believe so.
I don't think so, right?
No, it can.
Never mind.
In some spots, you can do that. It can go through the top or the bottom, depending. Now, let's see. Can he do it over here? Can it go through the bottom, perhaps?
Yeah, I believe he can. Because see that spike? That spike is a doodad to make sure, Zealots can't walk through
Now,
it.
the funny thing about this with what Busan's doing is there's nothing that the other player can do to stop. Now, this is so funny.
Yeah.
So they basically both have points where the other player can't expand. This gives Mong a huge advantage because he has this other base. And Busan actually has to do something very quickly. And the only way that Busan can get over there to stop those Reavers is with a shuttle. But then he has to let Mong keep mining the 3rd base that he has over there.
Oh, man. He's taking a lot of damage on this Nexus as well. He's going to have to move very quickly. Only 2 more volleys and this can fall.
Okay, Mong is going to get very close to closing this game out here.
Busan is super close to dead.
I'll take this Dragoon as well.
And that's it.
Busan is about to get starved out of this game. Busan might have to follow up with a push of his own.
Okay, he has double speed shuttle, so maybe he can get something to happen.
It seems like in a PvP on this map, the most important base to try to get is the one outside your main, not the ones in the back.
Yeah, well, mineral bases are only going to do so much for you there.
But even beyond that, the fact that you can get dropped and harassed like this, where your mineral base is like...
There's no good counter to that, too. Like, you can drop your own Reavers, and then you just play Reaver bounce for a little bit. It's like, okay, this is not really what I want to be doing with this tech. Are you going to drop a couple Dragoons to fight 2 Reavers? Okay, that's not good either.
Okay, right now, it's going to be so hard for Busan. Busan's going to try to bust out. Okay, hold on. I was about to say it's going to be really hard for Busan to try to bust out, but then he does it easily since the positioning wasn't really set up ideally for Mong. But Mong's already been sucking up so many resources. He comes in here and checks. He says, okay, no Nexus. How about no probes as well? Drives these back. And all he has to do now is basically hold off on Busan's possible counter. Busan is scrambling, getting 2 Nexi at once. One at the natural outside of his main, the other one at the other mineral natural.
Mong very smartly coming down with that speed shuttle and the 2 Reavers, so he's really joined up all of his units here that are on the map, and he still has a lot of units in his front natural as well. Got to bring all of his units together, though. He just needs to hold on against this attack.
You can see that Mong fished back Busan over there to the left. He's trying to get him to chase his army because every set of gateway units that pops out is going to be a bigger and bigger army here for Mong. And I think Mong's basically done it. But is Mong's army too far away? He needs to have all of this together here.
He's not going to flank this for quite some time. The Reavers pop out right now. That Zealot going to draw some scare. Oh my God,
connect.
6 shot. Now targeting down on that shuttle.
Okay,
Both Reavers
this
fall.
game's now over because when the other attack from behind comes in.
Oh wait, can he get that shuttle before it unloads? Oh wait, I guess the Reavers aren't in it. Never mind. Woo!
Yeah, I believe there's nothing actually in that. I think the actual shuttle might be up with that army.
Oh, you know what? He left the Reavers at that mineral base, I think. I see 2 red dots over there. But anyways, he has a lot of Dragoons here trying to get something done.
And there we go. He now has these the shuttle with the 2 Reavers. So this game is basically over as there's no way to stop Mong's counterattack. Oh, I love that. Just having 1 Dragoon over there like that. Just to hit those workers from behind. I think a push into the Protoss' heart here, taking out Busan's main is going to be the way to win this game.
He probably can do such a thing with a double Reaver. There's a single Reaver right now for Busan. He's backed up. He has less gateway units as well. Trying to fly around and get something done. Oh my God! Has to be very careful with these Reavers. Oh man.
Now, he will take out that Reaver. Problem is, even if he gets all these Reavers, which I don't think he can, there's going to be more Dragoons here anyways.
Yeah, Mong has been on more bases for longer with less disruption, so it's just too painful at this point for Busan, holding on as best he can. The old veteran came back and really made a show of it tonight, but unfortunately doesn't look like he's going to be advancing.
I think a lot of this whole entire day goes back to that Corsair Reaver game he did earlier on. Yeah, he's just controlling this too well. Mong's going to win this. GG! It was fun, Busan, but you will not be advancing deeper in the ASL.
Mong should be pretty happy with himself, getting out in 2nd place here, something not even Stork was able to do. Big upsets tonight. Stork in last place, Busan showing some great games, and of course Gamo winning the whole thing.
Yeah, you can see Busan, Busan. I know that feeling.
Yeah.
He played a good series, but I think Mong, as far as strategy goes, really outplayed him on that map. He knew when to expand and how to defend. And
I got to say, when he flew in with the 1 Reaver into the main, that's not what I was expecting. When he was looping around, I thought for sure he was going to load up a Dragoon, go behind the minerals, and just harass the workers there, because he did have like the
oh,
speed
that's
shuttle,
what you were talking about back there. I thought you meant he has a Dragoon in the middle of the drop when he was doing that. Yeah, I know, that would have made more sense.
I thought he would have gone to the natural, but oh well.
Yeah, it makes sense though, you're right.
Losing that Reaver. Anyways, time for the interview. You made it to the next round, Mong. How do you feel?
네, 오늘 경기에서 이제 보완하고 싶은 점이 있다면 어떤 게 있을까요?
All the matches were very tough, but I made it to the next round, so I feel really glad.
없는 걸 알았을 때 드랍을 예상했어야 되는데 제가 한번 훑어 본 줄 알고.
What do you want to do for the next match?
더 경기를 꼼꼼하게 봐야겠다. 다음 경기부터는.
그 중앙에 그 병력들이 진출했을 때 아무것도 없었지 않습니까? 근데 그때는 이미
Said he missed a lot of things like scouting and whatnot, and he needs to pay more attention in the future.
진짜 이거 연습 때도 잘 안 당했는데 진짜 중간쯤에서 원래 저희가 아무것도 없으면 돌아가야 되거든요.
Now they're talking about the first map with the Hydra drop.
그 생각을 안일하게 했던 것 같아요.
예, 그럼에도 다음 경기에서는
How did you feel about those Hydra drops? Said he wasn't really expecting the Hydra drop.
대단히 좋은 그런 위기관리 능력을 보여주면서 승리를 따내고 결국 마지막 경기에서마저 승리를 따냈는데
Seems like you had great crisis management.
선수처럼 오랜만에 이렇게 나타난 선수들은 과감한 송병구 선수에게 썼던 그런 전략처럼 그런 전략을 쓸 수 있지 않습니까?
Didn't you feel like a lot of pressure to face off against such legends as Busan and Stork?
최종전에서 만나고 싶었거든요. 왜냐면 최종전 맵이 그나마 변수가 좀 그런 전략적인 게 별로 없는 맵이어서 근데 다행히 이제
Well, when I looked at my group, when I saw Busan was there, I wanted to meet him in the decider match because of the map. We basically didn't want to hit game on
이번
there.
킬업이 딱 0이었을 때 저기 한번 살짝 보였잖아요.
네,
그때 어떻게 했습니까?
아 그때 제 드라군이 나눠져 있어가지고 만약에 지호 형이 진짜 과감하게 그냥 올라왔으면 저희가 끝날 수도 있는 상황이었는데
Busan attacked
언덕이다 보니까
towards
지호
you.
형이 안 들어와 주신 것 같은데
Something about a Reaver.
예.
네.
어렵게 16강 진출. 지난 시즌에는 너무 강한 단계를 만났는데 예. 이번에는 어떻게 될 것 같습니까?
제가 시즌 1 때 정우한테 지고 3대1로 지고
You know,
시즌 2 때 영호한테 3대1
Busan wasn't able to get into his base because he was trying to attack uphill, and that really kind of made the game into Iamong's favor because it was so hard to break him there, and you got that earlier expansion.
저를 아니 어떻게 이영호로 뽑을 수 있어 이러면서 저를 막 원망하셨는데
So do you have any plans for the group nomination phase?
이번에 만나면 이겨봐야죠 이번에는.
네, 자신감 아주 좋고 또 우리 김승현 선수를 응원하는 팬분들과 또 이제 무클랜이 있잖아요. 지금 보고 계실 텐데 감사 인사 한 말씀 부탁드릴게요.
제가 엔터 분들이랑
Well, I'll do better in the nominations this season than last season. Any final words for your fans?
있어서 너무 좋고 여러분들이 응원해 주셔서 제가 올라가지 않았나 싶습니다. 항상 너무 감사드립니다.
네,
I promise my fans I'll advance the round of 16. I'll make it.
네, 2조의 최종전 경기로 오늘의 대결이
thank you to all
모두
my fans
마무리가
and supporters.
됐습니다.
And most importantly, thank you to Joseph, the greatest
가려지게 된 오늘 화요일이죠. 오늘 화요일 F조의 경기도
this is a fun day. A lot of very interesting PvPs. It's definitely a day where if you want to learn a specific matchup, you can to get ready for StarCraft Remastered.
But look at the results, Tasis. Having Stork go out first is really painful, of course. Such a legend. You want to see him get deep, but got outplayed tonight, seriously. Both Busan and Iamong able to kill him in PvP. A matchup that Stork is really quite good at, so a little bit of a surprise.
Let's see how Gamo does. He way outclassed everybody with his Zerg here. Just dominated moving out of this group immediately. I almost forgot we even casted him today because we've been casting so many other PvPs.
Yeah.
So here's what our lineup is so far.
Yeah, it looks like the Zerg's popping up a little bit more powerfully so far into that next round. Definitely showing quite a bit of power on this map pool.
Absolutely. I am so excited to get to the round of 16 here and see some fantastic games. It's going to be hype already.
Well, look at some of these players that we have. Like, we're missing some guys, sure. Like, for instance, unfortunately, Stork didn't make it through, but the other 3 best players of all time have made it. A lot of great Zergs in there also. Going to be awesome. This is our match, guys, for Tuesday night. It's going to start a couple hours earlier than normal, 5 p.m. KST. And that's going to be pretty cool. Last movie, Hyun and Larva.
So we got all 3 races coming up there, and that will be on Tuesday. We're starting earlier, as Artosa said, so do not miss out. Mark that down on your calendar. Otherwise, you might be tuning in right at the end of an ASL.
Yeah, it could be the case. And having all 3 races, having the return of Hyun, a great player from both StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2.
The most charismatic Korean StarCraft 2 player, I would say.
Yeah, I would say so as well.
Or StarCraft 1 player, I guess, as well, because he's playing StarCraft 1. But
yeah. He was quite a strong StarCraft 1 pro back in the day. Not like championship, but always hitting pro league and stuff. So really cool to have him back.
And it's going to be fun to see how he performs as we have some of the guys who played StarCraft 2 switching over to StarCraft 1. Artosis, it's always a pleasure casting with you, my friend.
It is tasteless.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Have a good morning, afternoon, or night, wherever you are.